My beloved child, I know the question that has quietly followed you through long nights and silent mornings. I know the moments when you have looked around and wondered why everyone else seems surrounded by people while you feel like you are walking this road alone. I have heard the thoughts you never dared to speak aloud. You have asked if you were forgotten, overlooked, or somehow unworthy of the love and connection your heart longs to receive. But listen carefully to my voice today, because what you have believed about your loneliness is not the whole story. What if the season you have called abandonment is actually the beginning of something holy? What if the silence that has made you anxious is carrying a purpose far greater than you can imagine? Before you decide that your life has been left empty, allow me to show you what your eyes have not yet seen. There is a reason behind every closed door, every delayed answer, every relationship that faded away, and every lonely moment that seemed impossible to understand. You have measured your life by what is missing, but I measure it by what I am preparing. You have counted the people who walked away, while I have been counting the ways I am protecting your future. You have looked at empty spaces and called them loss, yet I have looked at those same spaces and called them room for something greater. The story is not over, my child. In fact, you are standing at the beginning of a chapter that will change the way you see everything. Do not rush past this moment. Do not let your heart convince you that these words are meant for someone else. They are for you. I am speaking directly into the places you have tried to hide, into the questions that have echoed inside your soul, and into the fears that have whispered you will always be alone. Those fears have spoken loudly, but they have never spoken the truth. I have been with you in every tear you cried when no one noticed. I have remained beside you during every disappointment that left your heart aching. Even when you could not feel my presence, my hand never left your life. I watched over you with a love deeper than you have yet understood. I saw every unseen battle, every quiet sacrifice, and every moment you chose to keep going when giving up seemed easier. So before you believe another lie about your loneliness, stay with me a little longer. Let me uncover the mystery hidden beneath this season. Let me reveal why some people had to leave, why certain doors could not remain open, and why the path ahead required moments when it seemed like no one truly understood you. What you are about to discover is not a message of despair but a revelation of hope. By the time my words have settled into your heart, you will begin to see that you were never abandoned. You were being led. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared. And the real reason you have been alone is far more beautiful than you ever imagined. My beloved child, before I reveal anything more, I want you to let this truth settle deep within your heart. I have never left you, not for a single moment. There has never been a day when my eyes were not upon you or a night when my love stopped surrounding you. Even when the silence felt unbearable, even when your prayers seemed to rise into empty skies, I was there. My presence has never depended on your ability to feel me. It has always depended on my unchanging promise, and my promises do not fail. There have been moments when you confused silence with absence. You believed that because you could not hear my voice, I had turned away. Because the answers did not come when you expected them, you imagined I had forgotten your name. But my child, a loving father does not stop loving simply because he becomes quiet for a moment. Sometimes his silence is filled with careful attention. Sometimes he watches closely, allowing his child to take another step, not because he is distant, but because he knows strength is being formed. Think of a child learning to walk. There comes a moment when the father loosens his grip, not to abandon the child, but to help the child discover balance. The father never walks away. His hands remain ready. His eyes never leave the child. His heart beats with every uncertain step. In the same way, I have watched over you. When you stumbled, I was there. When you cried, I heard every sound before the tears even reached your face. When you thought you had reached the end of your strength, my hand quietly held you together. There were mornings when you woke with a heaviness you could not explain. There were evenings when the house felt too quiet, when memory spoke louder than hope, and when loneliness seemed to sit beside you like an unwelcome guest. Yet even then, I occupied that same room. I was closer than your next breath. Though your natural eyes could not see me, my spirit surrounded you with a love that never weakened. The world has taught you that presence is measured by what can be touched, heard, or seen. But my kingdom works differently. Some of the greatest things I do are invisible at first. The roots of a mighty tree grow in darkness long before anyone admires its branches. A child is formed in hidden places before taking the first breath of life. In the same way, I have been doing deep and sacred work within you, even while everything around you appeared still. Do not believe the lie that you have been carrying your burdens alone. Every disappointment that made your shoulders heavy was shared with me. Every unanswered question that kept you awake rested in my hands long before it reached your mind. Every wound that people ignored was fully known by me. Nothing about your story has escaped my attention. I know the names you still remember. I know the conversations that replay in your thoughts. I know the promises that were broken, the friendships that slowly disappeared, and the love you offered that was never returned. I witnessed every moment. I collected every tear. None of it was meaningless to me. You have wondered why I did not stop every heartbreak. You have asked why I allowed certain people to walk away. Those answers will come, and when they do, you will understand that my love was protecting you even through painful endings. But before you can understand what I removed from your life, you must first understand this. I never removed myself. I remained your constant when everything else changed. People came and went. Circumstances shifted. Plans fell apart. Expectations collapsed. Yet I stayed exactly where I have always been. I was your shelter when storms surrounded you. I was your strength when your own strength failed. I was the quiet whisper urging you to keep going when every other voice told you to quit. Even now, as you listen to my voice, I am inviting you to release the belief that you have been abandoned. Lay it down at my feet. It has burdened your heart for far too long. Exchange that painful belief for the truth that has always existed. You are deeply known, completely loved, and faithfully guarded. My beloved child, I do not merely walk ahead of you, pointing the way. I walk beside you through every valley. I walk behind you, redeeming every mistake. I walk before you, preparing every tomorrow. And when your strength is gone, and your heart feels too weary to take another step, I carry you without asking you to earn my help. So hear me clearly today. You have never faced a single moment of your life without me. The silence was never abandonment. The waiting was never rejection. The loneliness was never proof that you were unloved. I have been here from the beginning, and I will remain with you until every purpose I have spoken over your life had been fulfilled. My beloved child, now that your heart is beginning to understand that I have never left you, let me show you another truth that may change the way you see this season forever. There are times when I lovingly separate my children before I prepare them for what is ahead. What feels like isolation is often the sacred ground where purpose begins to grow. You have called it loneliness, but I have called it preparation. Consider the seed that is placed into the earth. No one celebrates it when it disappears beneath the soil. It is covered by darkness. It seems forgotten. From the outside, it looks as though nothing is happening. If someone judged only by what they could see, they would assume the seed had reached its end. But you know the truth. Beneath the surface, life is awakening. Roots are reaching deeper. Strength is forming where no human eye can witness it. The darkness is not destroying the seed. It is creating the conditions for growth. My child, there have been seasons when you felt buried just like that seed. You watched opportunities disappear. You watched familiar places become unfamiliar, and familiar faces become distant. You wondered if your best days had already passed. Yet while you mourned what was above the surface, I was nurturing something beneath it. I was growing roots that would one day support blessings too great to stand on shallow ground. If I had given you everything you desired before your roots were strong enough, the weight of those blessings might have broken you. A tree with weak roots cannot survive a mighty storm, no matter how beautiful its branches appear. That is why I care more about what is hidden than what is visible. The world admires the fruit, but I first strengthen the roots. You not envy those whose lives seem full while yours feels quiet. You do not know what work I am doing within them, and they do not know what work I am doing within you. Every journey I write is unique because every purpose I have designed is unique. Comparison has stolen enough of your peace. Release it into my hands. I have never measured your life against another person's path. I have only asked you to trust the path I have lovingly prepared for you. There are lessons that can only be learned when the crowd becomes quiet. When everyone is speaking into your life, it becomes difficult to recognize my voice. When you constantly seek approval from others, it becomes harder to discover the identity I have already given you. So, in my wisdom, I sometimes reduce the noise. I gently remove distractions, not because I want to empty your life, but because I want to fill your heart with something far greater than human applause. Think about the finest gold. It is not discovered shining on the surface. It is hidden deep within the earth, surrounded by rock and pressure. Before it reflects beauty, it must first endure a process that removes everything that does not belong. In much the same way, I have been refining you. The pressure was never proof that I had forgotten you. It was evidence that I was shaping something precious. I know there were days when you pleaded with me to change your circumstances immediately. I heard every prayer. I understood every tear. But because I see the end from the beginning, I also knew that rushing the process would rob you of the strength you would soon need. Love does not always remove difficulty. Sometimes love carefully guides someone through it because it sees the person they are becoming on the other side. You have asked me, why couldn't things stay the way they were? My beloved child, because where you were could no longer hold where I am leading you. The people, the habits, the comforts, and even some of the dreams you once clung to belong to a previous season. I was not punishing you by allowing those things to pass away. I was making room for what fits the future I have prepared. The sculptor does not leave the marble untouched if he intends to reveal a masterpiece. With each careful strike, pieces fall away, not because they have no value, but because they hide the beauty waiting inside. In the same way, I have been removing what no longer serves my purpose for your life. Though each change has felt painful, none of it has been careless. Every moment has been guided by my wisdom and wrapped in my love. So, my beloved child, do not fear this season of seeming separation. You are not forgotten in the darkness. You are not abandoned beneath the soil. You are not standing still because your life has lost direction. You are growing in ways that cannot yet be measured by human eyes. And when the time I have appointed arrives, what I have been cultivating in secret will rise with a strength, beauty, and purpose that only I could have created. My beloved child, one of the hardest things for your heart to accept is that not every silence is empty. The world has taught you to fear quiet places. It has convinced you that every moment must be filled with voices, activity, and constant movement. It has told you that if you are not surrounded by noise, then something must be wrong. But my ways are different from the ways of the world. There are moments when I lovingly quiet everything around you because I want you to finally hear the voice that has been speaking to you all along. For so long, your days have been crowded with expectations. The opinions of others competed for your attention. The demands of life pulled you in every direction. Every notification, every conversation, every disappointment, and every ambition became another voice asking for a place in your heart. Little by little, those voices grew louder until my gentle whisper became difficult for you to recognize. I never stopped speaking. There was simply too much noise for you to notice. That is why I sometimes lead my children into still places, not to make them feel isolated, but to remove everything that keeps interrupting the conversation I long to have with them. A loving father does not compete with every distraction for his child's attention. Instead, he creates moments where they can simply sit together, without hurry, without pressure, and without interruption. That is what I have desired for you. You may remember how uncomfortable silence first felt. When the phone stopped ringing as often, your mind began asking painful questions. When invitations became fewer, you wondered whether you still mattered. When the familiar busyness faded, you were left alone with thoughts you had been avoiding for years. At first, you wanted to escape those moments. You searched for anything that would fill the emptiness. Yet what you called emptiness was actually space I had prepared for healing. Silence as a way of revealing what constant activity hides. When everything around you becomes quiet, the true condition of your heart begins to surface. Old fears speak. Unhealed wounds make themselves known. Hidden anxieties that were buried beneath busy schedules finally rise into the light. This is not because silence creates those things. It simply uncovers what has been waiting to be healed. Do not be afraid of what rises to the surface. I am not showing you your pain to shame you. I am revealing it because I desire to restore you completely. A skilled physician cannot heal a wound that remains hidden beneath layers of covering. The wound must first be uncovered before it can be cleansed. Though the process may sting for a moment, the purpose is always restoration. In the same way, I have gently uncovered areas of your heart that have quietly carried burdens for far too long. There were times when you believed you had already moved on from certain hurts. You convinced yourself that enough time had passed. But when the noise faded, those memories returned. Faces you had forgotten suddenly appeared in your thoughts. Words spoken years ago still echoed within your heart. Dreams you thought you had released resurfaced with unexpected emotion. You wondered why these feelings returned. My child, they returned because I was inviting you to let me heal them at their deepest level instead of simply covering them with distractions. Remember the prophet Elijah. After great victories and deep exhaustion, he expected to find me in overwhelming displays of power. He looked for me in the wind that shook the mountains, in the earthquake that moved the ground, and in the fire that demanded attention. Yet I chose to speak through a gentle whisper. My voice has always carried power, but it often comes wrapped in quietness. Those who rush through life searching only for dramatic signs can easily overlook the gentle invitation of my presence. Its same whisper has been calling your name. It has reminded you that you are loved when insecurity tried to define you. It has encouraged you to take one more step when despair urged you to give up. It has spoken peace into your anxious thoughts even when circumstances refused to change. My whisper has remained steady because my love is steady. Do not run from this season of stillness, my beloved child. Embrace it as a sacred gift. The silence is not your enemy. It is the place where false voices lose their power and my truth becomes clear. It is where your heart learns to distinguish fear from faith, loneliness from my presence, and confusion from my guidance. The noise had to fade because what I am about to build within you cannot rest upon the unstable voices of the world. It must be established upon my voice alone, a voice that has loved you from the beginning and will faithfully lead you through every season that lies ahead. My beloved child, now that the noise has begun to settle and your heart is becoming still, I want to take you to a place that you have tried to avoid for a long time. Do not be afraid. I will not leave you there. I am taking you into the hidden places of your heart, not to remind you of your pain, but to free you from it. There are wounds you have carried so quietly that even those closest to you never knew they existed. You learned how to smile while your heart was aching. You learned how to keep moving while carrying burdens that grew heavier with every passing year. But I have seen every hidden tear, and I have never expected you to heal yourself. Many times, you believed that if you ignored the pain long enough, it would simply disappear. You buried disappointment beneath responsibility. You covered rejection with achievement. You masked loneliness with busyness. You convinced yourself that if you kept giving to others, perhaps you would forget the empty places within your own soul. Yet buried pain does not lose its power simply because it is hidden. It waits in silence, shaping your fears, influencing your choices, and whispering lies about your worth. That is why I have allowed this season to slow you down. Not because I wanted you to suffer, but because I love you too deeply to let your wounds remain untreated. A loving father does not ignore the injury of his child. He kneels beside them, cleanses the wound with gentle hands, and stays close even when the healing process feels uncomfortable. In the same way, I have drawn near to you. Healing is rarely as quick as you wish it would be. There are moments when cleaning a wound hurts more than leaving it untouched. Yet if the wound is never cleansed, it cannot truly recover. Infection spreads beneath the surface, unseen but dangerous. My child, some of the pain you have experienced has lingered because it was never fully placed into my hands. You carried it alone, believing you had to be strong enough to survive it. But I never asked you to carry what I was always willing to bear. Perhaps someone spoke words over your life that made you feel unwanted. Perhaps someone you trusted walked away without explanation. Perhaps you gave your love sincerely, only to have it rejected or taken for granted. Those moments left marks upon your heart. Though years may have passed, the memories still rise unexpectedly. They influence how close you allow people to come. They make you question whether love will always end in disappointment. They tempt you to build walls so high that no one can hurt you again. But my beloved child, walls that keep pain out often keep love out as well. I did not create your heart to live behind barriers built by fear. I created it to know peace, to give love freely, and to receive love without constantly expecting betrayal. That is why I am patiently removing the stones you have stacked around your soul. Not all at once, because I know your heart is tender. One stone at a time, with compassion that never rushes and hands that never wound. Do not mistake my work for punishment. I am not exposing your broken places so you will feel ashamed. I already know everything about you, and my love has never been diminished by what I have seen. Before you ever recognized your wounds, I had already chosen to call you my beloved child. Before your heart was ever broken, my heart was already committed to restoring yours. Think of a potter shaping clay upon a wheel. If there is a hidden pocket of air inside the clay, it may look beautiful for a while, but when it is placed into the fire, it will crack. The potter gently presses and reshapes the clay, not to ruin it, but to remove what would later destroy it. In the same way, I have been pressing gently upon areas of your heart that seem settled. I have not done this to cause pain. I have done it because I refuse to let hidden wounds weaken the beautiful future I have prepared for you. There are tears you have cried in secret that no one else will ever know about. There were prayers whispered into the darkness when you felt too exhausted to speak aloud. I heard every one of them. Not a single tear fell unnoticed. Not a single sigh escaped my attention. I was present through every lonely night, collecting what the world overlooked and holding your heart when it felt too fragile to keep beating with hope. Now I invite you to do something that may feel difficult. Stop hiding your pain from me. You never needed to protect me from your questions, your disappointment, or your sorrow. Bring it all into my presence. Bring the anger you never admitted. Bring the grief you buried. Bring the fear you have tried to silence. I am not intimidated by your brokenness. I am the one who restores broken things. My beloved child, your wounds are not your identity. They are not the final chapter of your story. They are places where my healing love will shine most brightly. The loneliness you have experienced has uncovered what needed my touch, and now that those hidden places have been brought into the light, I will not leave them empty. I will fill them with my peace, my truth, and my unfailing love until your heart no longer beats from a place of fear, but from the quiet confidence that you are completely known, completely accepted, and completely healed in me. My beloved child, as I continue to heal the hidden places within your heart, I want to reveal another reason this season has unfolded the way it has. There were attachments I needed to gently loosen, not because those people or things were always wrong, but because your heart had begun to depend on them in ways it was never created to. I formed your soul to find its deepest security in me. Every other relationship is a gift, but I alone am your foundation. There were times when your peace rose and fell with the opinions of others. If someone praised you, your confidence grew. If someone ignored you, your heart sank. When people welcomed you, you felt valuable. When they walked away, you questioned your worth. Without realizing it, you allowed changing human hearts to determine the value of a soul that I had already declared precious. My beloved child, people are not meant to carry the weight of being your source. Even those who love you deeply are imperfect. They become tired. They misunderstand. They make promises they cannot always keep. They are human, just as you are. If you ask them to satisfy the deepest hunger of your soul, both you and they will eventually be disappointed. The place within your heart was shaped only for me. Imagine building a beautiful house upon soft sand. From a distance, it may appear strong. The walls may stand tall, and the windows may shine in the sunlight. But when heavy rain comes, when strong winds begin to blow, and when the ground shifts beneath it, the weakness of the foundation is revealed. The problem was never the beauty of the house. The problem was where it was built. There were seasons when your heart was resting upon foundations that could not support the life I had prepared for you. You leaned upon the approval of others. You sought identity through relationships, achievements, or the hope that someone else's love would finally quiet every insecurity inside you. But no human being, no accomplishment, and no earthly success can carry the weight of a soul that longs for eternity. That is why I have been calling you closer, not to take away your joy, but to give you a joy that circumstances cannot steal. I want your peace to remain steady whether people applaud you or misunderstand you. I want your confidence to remain firm whether doors open quickly or seem to remain closed. I want your heart to know that your value was settled long before anyone formed an opinion about you. You do not have to earn the love I already delight in giving. Before you accomplished anything, I called you mine. Before anyone recognized your gifts, I saw the purpose I placed within you. Before another person chose to love you, my love had already surrounded you completely. Why then should you measure yourself by voices that change from one season to the next when my voice has remained faithful from the beginning? I know there were moments when losing certain relationships felt like losing a part of yourself. You wondered who you were without them. You questioned whether you would ever feel whole again. Yet what you believed was the loss of your identity was actually the beginning of discovering it. I never intended for your name to be written upon someone else's acceptance. I wrote your identity with my own love, and nothing on earth has the authority to erase it. Think of a vine growing around a sturdy tree. At first, it seems harmless. It even appears beautiful. But if it wraps itself too tightly, it begins to depend entirely upon the tree for its position and support. If the tree falls, the vine falls with it. I do not want your heart to cling to temporary things with such desperation that every earthly change causes your soul to collapse. I want you to be like a tree planted beside living waters, drawing strength directly from the source that never runs dry. This does not mean I desire you to walk through life without meaningful relationships. I created you for love, fellowship, and community. I delight in surrounding my children with people who encourage, strengthen, and walk beside them. But those relationships flourish best when they grow from hearts already anchored in me rather than hearts desperately searching for someone else to complete what only I can fulfill. When your heart rests securely in my love, you no longer approach others with fear that they might leave. You are able to love freely because your identity is no longer fragile. You can forgive more easily because your worth is no longer dependent upon perfect treatment. You can celebrate others without comparing yourself because you already know who you are. My love becomes the solid ground beneath every step you take. So, my beloved child, release every false foundation you have been holding on to. Lay down the exhausting need to prove yourself. Lay down the fear that your life loses meaning if someone walks away. Lay down the belief that your happiness depends entirely upon another person's presence. Build your life upon me, the rock that never shifts, the Father who never changes, and the love that never fails. When storms come, and they will, you will not be shaken. When seasons change, and they always do, you will remain secure. For your life will no longer stand upon the uncertain ground of human approval but upon my everlasting faithfulness. And from that unshakable foundation, I will build relationships, purpose, and blessings that are strengthened by my love and sustained by my grace. My beloved child, there is another truth I want to place gently into your heart, because many of the questions you still carry cannot be answered by what you have seen alone. You have often asked me, why did that door close? Why did that friendship fade? Why did that opportunity disappear just when it seemed within reach? You searched for reasons in conversations, circumstances, and your own mistakes. Sometimes you even blamed yourself for losses that were never your fault. But today I want you to understand that there have been countless moments when I protected you from dangers you never knew existed. You can only see the road directly in front of you. I see every turn, every hidden obstacle, every destination, and every path that branches away from the life I have prepared for you. My vision is never limited by time. While you are wondering about tomorrow, I already see years ahead. I know which relationship to strengthen your beard and which one to quietly drain it. I know which opportunities would develop your purpose and which would slowly lead your heart away from the calling I placed within you. There were times when you stood before a closed door and believed I had denied you something good. You prayed with all your heart. You hoped with sincere faith. You imagined the joy that would come if only that one desire became reality. Then the answer did not come the way you expected. The opportunity vanished. The relationship ended. The dream slipped through your hands. In those moments, Disappointment whispered that I had withheld my goodness from you. But my beloved child, what if that closed door was not a rejection? What if it was my hand standing between you and a pain you could not yet see? Imagine a shepherd walking with his flock through a wide valley. The sheep see fresh grass growing near the edge of a cliff. To them, it looks like the best place to graze. They do not recognize the loose ground beneath the green surface. They cannot see how one careless step could send them into danger. So the shepherd gently calls them away. Sometimes he even blocks their path. The sheep may not understand why they are being redirected, but the shepherd is not taking something good from them. He is preserving their lives. That is how I have led you. There were conversations I prevented before they could deceive you. There were invitations that never reached you because they would have led you away from peace. There were people who quietly walked out of your life because they could not accompany you into the future I had already planned. You mourned their absence, but I saw the weight they would have placed upon your soul if they had remained. You have sometimes mistaken my protection for my silence. Yet many of the prayers I answered looked nothing like the answers you expected. You asked me to bless your future, and I removed something that would have poisoned it. You asked me for peace, and I separated you from constant conflict. You asked me to guide your steps, and I redirected your path away from roads that appeared beautiful but ended in sorrow. I know it is difficult to celebrate what you never received. Human hearts naturally grieve visible losses, but they rarely thank me for invisible rescues. You have thanked me for blessings you could hold in your hands, but there are countless blessings you never noticed because they came disguised as interruptions, delays, and disappointments. Think of a parent holding the hand of a small child while crossing a busy street. The child suddenly tries to run towards something bright and exciting on the other side. The parent tightens their grip and says no. The child may cry, believing freedom has been taken away. But the parent is not limiting the child's joy. The parent is protecting the child's life. My beloved child, there were moments when you cried because I said no. I heard every tear. I understood every question. Yet my answer came from perfect love, not from indifference. If I had granted every request exactly as you desired, some of those answers would have become burdens far heavier than the disappointments you now remember. Trust me when I tell you that my protection is not always loud. Often it is quiet. It comes through timing that does not make sense, plans that suddenly change, people who unexpectedly leave, or opportunities that seem to disappear without explanation. You may never fully understand every rescue while you walk upon this earth, but one day you will see how many unseen dangers my hands gently turned away from your path. Do not allow bitterness to grow from closed doors. Instead, let gratitude begin to replace confusion. Every door I closed made room for one that aligns with my purpose. Every person I removed created space for those who will encourage your faith rather than weaken it. Every delay carried wisdom beyond what you could see in the moment. So rest your heart, my beloved child. You do not have to understand every decision I make in order to trust my love. Just as a shepherd never stops watching over his flock, I have never stopped watching over you. My protection has surrounded you in ways your eyes could not recognize, and my faithfulness has carried you through dangers you never even knew existed. The same hand that closed certain doors is the hand that will open the right ones at the perfect time, and when they open, you will know they came not only through my power, but through my loving protection. My beloved child, now that you are beginning to understand that my protection has been working even when you could not see it, I want to teach you something even more precious. I do not only desire to guide your steps from a distance. I desire for you to know my voice so deeply that you recognize it wherever you are. There is a difference between following instructions and knowing the one who gives them. I have always wanted your heart, not merely your attention. Many times you have asked me for louder signs. You have prayed, show me something impossible to ignore. Make the answer obvious. Speak so clearly that I cannot miss it. I understand why you have prayed that way. You have been afraid of making the wrong decision. You have worried that one mistake might ruin everything. But my beloved child, I have never built our relationship upon fear. I have built it upon love, and love learns to recognize a familiar voice. Think about how a child knows the voice of a loving parent in a crowded room. Dozens of people may be speaking at once, yet the child immediately turns when that familiar voice calls their name. The child does not pause to analyze every sound. Love has made the voice recognizable. That is what I long to cultivate within you. I want my voice to become so familiar that even in the middle of life's confusion, your heart instinctively knows when I am speaking. This is one reason I have allowed you to walk through quiet seasons. Constant noise trains your ears to react to everything. Stillness trains your heart to listen with discernment. If every moment is filled with distractions, it becomes difficult to notice the gentle ways I often lead you. My guidance is not always dramatic. Sometimes it comes as a quiet peace that settles over your spirit. Sometimes it is a gentle hesitation that keeps you from taking a step too quickly. Sometimes it is a simple thought filled with wisdom, kindness, and truth that quietly rises within your heart. The voices of fear and anxiety are different. They rush you. They pressure you. They tell you that if you do not act immediately, everything will fall apart. Fear speaks with urgency that produces panic. My voice may invite you to move quickly at times, but it never drives you with terror. Even when I call you into something new, my peace walks beside my invitation. You have listened to many voices throughout your life. Some told you that you were not enough. Others convinced you that you had to earn love through endless effort. Some reminded you only of your failures, while others tempted you to place your hope in things that could never satisfy your soul. Those voices grew louder because they were repeated so often. Yet repetition does not make them true. My truth remains truth even when it speaks softly. Remember Elijah when he stood upon the mountain, weary and discouraged. He expected me to appear in displays of overwhelming power. The wind was fierce. The earthquake shook the ground. The fire demanded attention. Yet I chose to reveal myself through a still, gentle whisper. I have not changed. My power is beyond measure, but my heart delights in drawing near with tenderness. I do not need to overwhelm you to reach you. I simply call your name with perfect love. There have already been moments when you heard me without realizing it. That unexpected peace which settled over you after a difficult prayer was my presence. That quiet conviction that stopped you from making a harmful decision was my guidance. The gentle reminder to forgive when resentment seemed easier was my spirit working within you. Even the hope that somehow remained alive after countless disappointments was evidence that I was breathing life into your weary heart. Do not believe that you are incapable of hearing me. I created you with the ability to know me. The more time you spend resting in my presence, the more familiar my voice will become. Just as close friends recognize one another through years of shared conversation, your heart will learn to distinguish my words from every counterfeit voice that seeks your attention. There will always be voices competing for your focus. The world will continue to offer opinions, fears, and endless distractions. But my beloved child, you do not have to chase every sound. Anchor yourself in my love. When confusion surrounds you, return to my peace. When fear grows loud, remember the promises I have spoken over your life. My voice will never contradict my character. I will never lead you through manipulation, shame, or despair. I lead with truth, grace, wisdom, and unfailing love. So be patient with yourself as you learn to listen. This is not a lesson mastered in a single day, but a relationship that deepens with every moment you choose to draw near to me. I am not hiding from you. I am nearer than you have imagined, speaking with the steady voice of a father who knows exactly what his beloved child needs. As you continue this journey, you will discover that the greatest miracle is not simply hearing my voice once, but walking so closely with me that my whisper becomes the most trusted sound in your life. My beloved child, now that you are learning to recognize my voice, I want you to understand what I have been doing deep within you all this time. I have not only been protecting you, I have not only been teaching you to hear me, I have been rebuilding your heart. What others could not see, I have been restoring with patient hands. The greatest work I have been doing has not been around you but within you, because everything I will do through your life begins with the condition of your heart. There were places inside you that became weary from caring too much for too long. You learned to survive disappointment, but surviving is not the same as living. You learned how to hide your tears, but hiding them did not remove the pain. You became skilled at appearing strong while quietly wondering if your heart would ever feel light again. Yet I never created you merely to endure life. I created you to experience my peace, my joy, and the fullness of my love. Imagine a beautiful home that has stood through many storms. From the outside, it still appears strong, but inside, hidden cracks have formed within the walls. Water has slowly seeped into places no visitor can see. The foundation remains, yet the rooms need careful restoration. A wise builder does not simply paint over the damage. He removes what has been weakened. He repairs what has been broken. He strengthens every hidden place so the house can stand securely for generations. My beloved child, that is how I have been working within your heart. You wanted me to decorate the outside while I chose to strengthen the inside. You prayed for immediate changes in your circumstances, but I began by healing the places that those circumstances had wounded. I knew that if your heart remained burdened by fear, even the greatest blessings would not bring lasting peace. You might smile for a season, yet old wounds would continue whispering lies beneath the surface. Because I love you completely, I refuse to leave those hidden places untouched. You remember how quickly your heart used to become discouraged. A single rejection could convince you that you were not enough. One delay could make you question my faithfulness. One difficult season could cause you to wonder if hope was slipping away forever. I never condemned you for feeling those things. Instead, I gently began replacing fear with trust, insecurity with confidence, and despair with quiet hope. This rebuilding has not happened all at once. Just as a craftsman carefully restores an ancient masterpiece, I have worked patiently, one area at a time. Some days you noticed the change. Other days you felt as though nothing was happening. Yet even when you could not see progress, my hands never stopped working. Every prayer you whispered invited me deeper into your heart. Every act of surrender allowed another broken place to be restored. There were memories that once caused overwhelming pain. Now they no longer carry the same power over you. They may still remind you of what happened, but they no longer define who you are. That is my healing at work. There were fears that once kept you awake through the night. Little by little, you have begun resting with greater peace. That is my presence strengthening your heart. There were people whose opinions once controlled your emotions. Now you are learning to find your confidence in my love rather than in their approval. That is the fruit of my restoration. Do not become discouraged if some areas still feel tender. Healing is not proven by pretending the wound never existed. Healing is revealed when the wound no longer controls your future. Scars may remain as reminders of where you have been, but they also become evidence of my faithfulness. They testify that what once brought pain no longer has the power to destroy you. I also want you to understand that I am not rebuilding your heart simply so you can feel better. I am preparing your heart to love more deeply than before. Pain as a way of making people withdraw from others. It tempts them to become cautious, suspicious, and guarded. But I refuse to let your past determine the way you will love in your future. As I heal you, I am also expanding your capacity to show compassion, patience, and grace to others who carry wounds of their own. One day, someone will cross your path carrying the same loneliness you once carried. They will wonder if anyone understands their silent battles. Because I have rebuilt your heart, you will not speak to them from theory. You will speak from experience. The comfort you received from me will become the comfort you offer to them. The hope I planted within you will become a light in someone else's darkness. So do not despise this sacred work I am doing within you. A restored heart is more valuable than temporary success. The healed soul is stronger than outward appearance. I am removing what fear built and replacing it with what love can sustain. Brick by brick, promise by promise, I am rebuilding the inner places of your life upon the unshakable foundation of my truth. My beloved child, trust the work you cannot fully see. Every quiet moment in my presence, every surrendered burden, every tear you have placed into my hands has become part of the beautiful restoration I am accomplishing. When I finish what I have begun, your heart will no longer beat with the rhythm of old wounds. It will beat with the steady confidence of someone who knows they are deeply loved, completely secure, and forever held by the faithful hands of their Heavenly Father. My beloved child, after all the healing I have been doing within your heart, I want you to understand that this season has never been about keeping you from love. It has been about preparing you for the kind of love that reflects my heart. You have sometimes believed that your waiting meant you were forgotten, but your waiting has been filled with purpose. I have not been withholding good things from you. I have been shaping you so that when the right relationships enter your life, they will be built upon truth instead of fear, upon peace instead of insecurity, and upon faith instead of desperation. Many people pray for meaningful relationships, yet they overlook the quiet work that must first happen within their own hearts. A beautiful garden cannot flourish if the soil remains filled with stones and weeds. Before new life can grow, the ground must be prepared. That is what I have been doing within you. I have been removing bitterness before it could poison future joy. I have been pulling out the roots of fear before they could choke the love I desire to bring into your life. You once believed that if the right person appeared, every loneliness would disappear. But my beloved child, no human being was ever created to carry the weight that belongs to me alone. Even the deepest earthly love cannot replace the peace that comes from my presence. When someone becomes your source instead of your companion, both of you begin carrying burdens you were never meant to bear. That is why I have first taught you to rest in my love, so that your future relationships will be built upon freedom rather than dependence. There were moments when you wanted me to hurry the process. You asked why everyone else seemed to be moving forward, while your own life appeared to stand still. But I saw what you could not see. I knew that your heart still needed healing in places you had not yet recognized. If I had answered your prayers too soon, old wounds might have shaped new relationships. Fear might have mistaken itself for wisdom. Insecurity might have disguised itself as love. I love you too deeply to allow yesterday's pain to quietly follow you into tomorrow's blessings. Think of a master builder preparing the foundation of a great home. Those passing by may wonder why so much time is spent beneath the ground where nothing beautiful can yet be seen. They do not realize that the strength of the entire house depends upon what is hidden. If the foundation is rushed, the walls will eventually crack. If it is built with patience and care, the home can endure generations of storms. That is how I have been preparing your heart. Every lesson in trust has strengthened your foundation. Every moment of surrender has deepened your roots. Every tear placed into my hands has softened places that once became hard through disappointment. You may have thought you were simply surviving another lonely season, but I have been building the kind of heart that can both receive love and give it without fear. The relationships I prepare for you will not be perfect because the people within them will still be human. They will make mistakes, just as you will. But when your heart is anchored in me, imperfections will no longer shake your identity. You will know how to forgive because you have experienced my forgiveness. You will know how to remain patient because you have witnessed my patience toward you. You will know how to love without constantly demanding proof of your worth, because your worth has already been settled by my everlasting love. Do not measure my faithfulness by the calendar. Measure it by my character. I have never been late. Every delay has carried wisdom. Every quiet season has carried preparation. Every unanswered question has been held within hands that see the beginning and the end at the same time. What I prepare slowly often lasts far longer than what the world builds in haste. So lift your eyes, my beloved child. Stop believing that you are simply waiting for someone to arrive. Realize that I have been preparing both your heart and your future with perfect care. When the time I have appointed comes, you will recognize that this lonely season was never empty. It was the place where I lovingly shaped you into someone who can walk into lasting relationships with peace, confidence, humility, and a heart securely rooted in my unfailing love. As you hold this truth in your heart, hear my invitation. Every word you have received is meant to become light not only for you, but for countless other hearts searching for hope. If this message has strengthened your spirit, let your response become part of my work. Through your super thanks, your YouTube membership, or your PayPal gift using the link in the video description, or the QR code shown in this video, you help carry these words of life to souls who are waiting to hear that they are not forgotten. I tell you that every seed planted in love can become a harvest of restored hearts. My promise remains alive. Whoever refreshes others will himself be refreshed. As you open your hand, you become a living answer to someone's silent prayer. Do not overlook this moment of obedience, for I can use your generosity to bring my comfort into homes you may never see. I bless every gift offered with a willing heart, and I breathe fresh peace, provision, and joy upon those who give in faith. Step forward with courage, sow into this mission today, and let my light continue reaching the lonely through you. My beloved child, after all that I have shown you, there is one truth that must become the foundation beneath every other truth you receive. Before you are known by anyone else, you are known by me. Before anyone gives you a name, a title, or a place in their life, I have already called you my beloved child. Your identity has never been something you must earn. It has always been a gift flowing from my love. For much of your life, you searched for mirrors in other people's eyes. You looked to their approval to discover your value. When they smiled at you, you felt accepted. When they overlooked you, you questioned whether you mattered. When they celebrated your successes, you believed you were enough. When they criticized your failures, you wondered if you would ever be enough. Without realizing it, you allowed changing opinions to shape an identity that I had already made secure. My child, I never intended for your heart to live like a leaf carried by every passing wind. I created you to stand like a tree whose roots reach deep into the soil of my love. The seasons may change. Storms may come. People may enter your life or leave it, yet your identity remains unshaken because it was never built upon circumstances. It was built upon me. When I formed you, I did not make a mistake. I did not overlook a single detail. I knew every strength you would carry, every weakness you would struggle with, every tear you would cry, and every victory you would one day celebrate. Nothing about you has ever surprised me. There has never been a moment when I looked at you with disappointment and wished I had created someone else. My love has always been complete because it is rooted in who I am, not in how perfectly you perform. There have been times when failure tried to rename you. It whispered that you were a disappointment. It convinced you that because something ended badly, your entire story had lost its value. But failure is an event, not your identity. A broken relationship is not your identity. A painful rejection is not your identity. Even your greatest mistake does not have the authority to define who you are. Only the one who created you has the right to declare your identity, and I have never stopped calling you mine. Think of a priceless treasure buried beneath years of dust. Someone walking by may mistake it for something ordinary because they only see the surface. They do not recognize its true worth. But the one who understands its value carefully uncovers it, cleans it, and protects it because they know what it truly is. My beloved child, there were seasons when you saw only the dust that life had gathered around your heart. I saw the treasure beneath it. I never confused your wounds with your worth. That is why I have been so patient with you. I have never hurried your healing because I was never ashamed of your process. While you were criticizing yourself for not changing fast enough, I was rejoicing over every small step you took toward me. While you focused on how far you still had to go, I celebrated how far you had already come. My love has never measured your life by perfection. It has always delighted in your willingness to keep trusting me. You also need to release the burden of trying to become someone else in order to deserve love. The world often rewards appearances, achievements, and comparisons. It tells you that if you accomplish enough, succeed enough, or impress enough people, then you will finally be valuable. But my kingdom does not work that way. Your value existed before your accomplishments. It existed before your victories. It even existed before your first breath because your worth has always flowed from my heart. When you truly believe this, something beautiful begins to change within you. You no longer chase acceptance because you already know you are accepted. You no longer live in fear of rejection because rejection cannot remove what I have already declared. You become free to serve without needing applause. You become free to love without constantly demanding reassurance. You become free to walk through life with quiet confidence, knowing that my opinion of you is not shaken by the changing opinions of people. This is the freedom I desire for you. Not the freedom to prove yourself, but the freedom to rest in who you already are. A beloved child does not spend every day wondering whether they belong in their father's house. They live with confidence because love has already welcomed them home. I want your soul to experience that same security every single day. So when old voices return and attempt to remind you of your past, answer them with my truth. When insecurity whispers that you are not enough, remember that I have always been enough for you, and my love has always been enough to define you. When loneliness tempts you to believe you have no value, remember that your worth has never depended on the number of people beside you. It has always rested in the unchanging love of your Heavenly Father. My beloved child, lift your head. Stand with the quiet confidence that comes from being deeply known and completely loved. Let my voice become louder than every accusation, every comparison, and every fear. You are not an accident searching for meaning. You are my beloved creation, chosen with purpose, surrounded by my presence, and forever held in the everlasting embrace of my unfailing love. My beloved child, there is a question your heart has carried for a long time, even if you have never spoken it aloud. Why did some people have to leave? Why did relationships that once felt so important slowly fade away? Why did conversations become silent, promises go unfulfilled, and familiar faces become distant memories? You have searched for answers in your own actions. You have replayed old moments, wondering if one different choice could have changed everything. But today I want to lift a burden from your heart. Not every goodbye happened because you failed. Some goodbyes happened because I was faithfully guiding your life into a new season. Every season has its purpose. Spring does not compete with winter, and autumn does not apologize for replacing summer. Each arrives at the appointed time, accomplishing what it was created to do before making room for the next. In the same way, there are people who walk with you for a season, bringing lessons, encouragement, joy, or even necessary challenges. Their presence has meaning, but not every season is meant to last forever. This truth is difficult because your heart naturally longs to hold on to what is familiar. You treasure shared memories. You cherish laughter, trust, and the comfort of knowing someone is near. There is nothing wrong with that. I created you for connection. But when you try to preserve every relationship beyond its appointed season, you begin holding on to what I am gently asking you to release. What once brought life can become a weight if it remains after its purpose had been fulfilled. I know how deeply some departures hurt you. There were people you imagined would remain beside you through every chapter of your life. You prayed together. You dreamed together. You believed your paths would never separate. Then, without warning, something changed. Distance grew. Misunderstandings appeared. Silence replaced conversation. You wondered whether you had done something wrong. Sometimes you carried guilt that was never yours to carry. My beloved child, hear me carefully. There are moments when people walk away because of their own journey, not because of your value. Their choices are not always a reflection of your worth. Just as you are growing through seasons I have designed for you, they are walking through paths shaped by their own decisions, their own struggles, and their own responsibilities. You cannot control every road another person chooses, and I never asked you to. There were also relationships I lovingly allowed to end because they could not travel where I am leading you. Some connections were beautiful for a time, but they were not built to carry the weight of your future. If they had remained unchanged, they might have quietly limited the purpose I placed within you. You saw only the pain of separation, but I saw the freedom that would eventually come through letting go. Think of a gardener walking through a vineyard. He carefully examines every vine. Some branches are healthy and full of life. Others have stopped producing fruit. The gardener does not remove branches because he enjoys taking things away. He prunes because he sees the harvest that is still to come. Without pruning, the vine spends its strength supporting what no longer gives life. With pruning, new growth becomes possible. In the same way, I have lovingly pruned areas of your life. It did not feel kind in the moment because loss rarely does. You grieved what with leaving with it, yet seeing what with being prepared. But I never remove something without already knowing how I will provide what is needed for the next season. My plans are never driven by cruelty. They are guided by wisdom and wrapped in perfect love. I also want to speak to the bitterness that has tried to settle into your heart. Bitterness quietly tells you that because someone hurt you, you must guard yourself against everyone else. It whispers that trust is dangerous and forgiveness is weakness. But my beloved child, bitterness is a heavy burden. It keeps old wounds alive long after the moment has passed. It ties your future to yesterday's pain. I do not want you to carry that weight any longer. Forgiveness does not mean pretending the hurt never happened. It does not declare that wrong actions were acceptable. Forgiveness simply places justice into my hands instead of allowing resentment to continue ruling your heart. When you forgive, you are not saying the pain was small. You are saying that my peace is greater than the pain. You are choosing freedom over endless captivity to memories that can no longer change. There are names that still stir emotion within you. There are conversations you wish had ended differently. There are questions that may never receive earthly answers. Bring them all to me. You do not need to solve every mystery before you can find peace. I am able to heal even the places where explanations never come. One day, you will look back and recognize that some of the relationships you mourned were preparing you for healthier ones. Some of the farewells you feared became the very moments that redirected your life toward my greater purpose. You will see that I was never emptying your life without intention. I was making room for growth, for deeper peace, and for people who would walk beside you in ways that reflect my heart. So release those who were only meant for a season. Bless them with forgiveness, entrust them to my care, and continue walking forward without chains around your soul. My beloved child, I am not defined by what has left your life. I am defined by what I am faithfully bringing into it. As long as you walk with me, every ending I allow becomes the beginning of something shaped by my wisdom, sustained by my love, and filled with the hope of a future you have not yet imagined. My beloved child, after releasing what was meant for only a season, I want to draw your attention to something that has been happening all along, something so quiet that you may have overlooked it. While you have been watching the visible parts of your life, I have been accomplishing some of my greatest work in places that no human eye can see. The world often celebrates what is public, but I delight in what is formed in secret. Before I reveal my work through you, I first complete my work within you. You have sometimes wondered why your progress seems invisible. You have looked at your life and asked, am I really changing? Is anything different? Have these lonely days, these quiet prayers, and these difficult seasons accomplished anything at all? My beloved child, do not mistake hidden work for absent work. The most important transformations often happen where applause cannot reach. Think of a sculptor standing before a massive block of marble. To everyone else, it looks like nothing more than an ordinary stone. They cannot imagine the masterpiece hidden inside. But the sculptor already sees what others cannot. With every careful strike of the chisel, small pieces fall away. To an observer, it may appear as though something valuable is being lost. Yet the sculptor is not destroying the stone. He is revealing the beauty that had been waiting inside all along. That is how I have been working in your life. Every difficult lesson has been another gentle strike of my loving hand. Every season of waiting has removed another layer of fear. Every disappointment surrendered to me has chipped away at pride, insecurity, or misplaced hope. What hath been falling away is not the best part of you. It is everything that has been hiding the person I created you to become. There were habits that quietly shaped your thinking in ways you did not recognize. There were fears that disguised themselves as wisdom. There were doubts that sounded so familiar you almost accepted them as truth. Little by little, I have been exposing those things, not to condemn you, but to free you. Freedom begins when truth shines into places where deception once lived. I know you sometimes become discouraged because the process feels slow. You compare today's progress with yesterday's pain and wonder why everything has not changed overnight. But my beloved child, I am not interested in hurried transformation that fades with time. I am building lasting character. A tree that grows too quickly without deep roots cannot withstand strong winds. A house built in haste cannot endure generations. I take my time because what I build is meant to last. There have been moments when you did not even realize you were changing. You responded to a difficult situation with more patience than before. You found yourself offering forgiveness where bitterness once lived. You noticed peace rising within your heart in circumstances that would have once filled you with fear. Those were not accidents. Those were signs of my work within you. The enemy often tries to convince you that because you are not yet perfect, you have made no progress at all. But that is not how I see you. I do not only see where you are today, I also remember where you began. I remember the nights when despair almost consumed you. I remember the days when anxiety ruled your thoughts. I remember the times when you believed you would never recover from what had happened. Look at you now. You are still standing. You are still seeking me. You are still choosing hope even when life has tested your faith. That is evidence of my grace at work. You not become impatient with the pace of your growth. Even the sunrise does not rush across the sky. It slowly pushes back the darkness until the whole world is filled with light. In the same way, my truth has been quietly replacing every lie you once believed. Day by day, your heart is becoming brighter with my presence. I also want you to understand that hidden faithfulness matters deeply to me. The prayers you whisper when no one is listening matter. The acts of kindness no one applauds matter. The moments when you choose integrity even though no one would know otherwise matter. The quiet decisions to trust me when your emotions urge you to quit matter. Heaven celebrates what the world often overlooks. Remember how a pearl is formed. It begins with something uncomfortable, an irritation hidden inside an oyster. Over time, layer upon layer is added until something precious is created. The process is slow, hidden, and unseen by almost everyone. Yet when the pearl is finally revealed, its beauty reflects the patient work that took place in secret. My beloved child, some of the greatest treasures I am forming within you have been born through seasons you once wished would end immediately. One day, people may admire the peace they see in your life. They may wonder how your faith remains steady through difficult times. They may be inspired by the compassion you show or the wisdom you carry. What they will not fully see are the countless quiet moments we shared together. They will not see every tear you surrendered to me, every prayer spoken in faith, every lonely night that became a meeting place between your heart and mine. But I will remember them all, because those hidden moments are where your true strength was formed. So, my beloved child, do not lose heart because your transformation feels invisible. Continue walking with me one faithful step at a time. Trust the work that is happening beneath the surface. The masterpiece is not finished yet, but my hands have never left it. Every day, I am shaping you into someone who reflects my love with greater clarity, carries my peace with deeper confidence, and reveals my heart to a world longing to know that true restoration begins in the hidden places where only a loving father and his beloved child meet together. My beloved child, there will be moments on this journey when you will not understand what I am doing. Even after hearing my promises, even after feeling my presence, there will still be days when your questions seem louder than your confidence. You will look at your circumstances and wonder why the road ahead remains unclear. You will ask why some prayers are still unanswered, why certain dreams remain out of reach, and why the path I have chosen for you does not always make sense. When those moments come, I do not ask you to pretend you have no questions. I simply ask you not to let your questions become greater than your trust in me. You often desire clarity before taking the next step. You want to see the entire path before you begin walking. But faith does not grow by seeing everything in advance. Faith grows by trusting the one who already sees everything. If I showed you every detail of your future today, your heart might become overwhelmed. There are blessings you are not yet ready to carry, battles you do not yet need to fight, and victories whose joy would be diminished if every surprise were taken away. My wisdom protects you not only by guiding your future, but also by revealing it one step at a time. Think of Sowawatu through thick Mardufo. They cannot see the distant hills or the road far ahead. They may only see a few steps in front of them. Yet with every faithful step, the next portion of the path becomes visible. If they refuse to move until the entire journey is clear, they remain standing in the same place. But if they trust the path beneath their feet, they discover that each step brings them closer to the destination. My beloved child, there have been seasons when I have given you just enough light for the next step because I wanted your confidence to rest in my guidance rather than in your own understanding. I know how uncomfortable uncertainty feels. Your heart naturally seeks stability. You want assurance that everything will work out exactly as you hope. But I am inviting you into something deeper than certainty about circumstances. I am inviting you into certainty about my character. Circumstances will change. Seasons will come and go. People will sometimes surprise you. But my nature never changes. I remain faithful when life feels uncertain. I remain loving when your emotions are unsettled. I remain present even when the road disappears into mist. There were times when you thought I had forgotten your prayers simply because I had not answered them immediately. Yet many of those prayers were already moving through my perfect timing. Just because you could not see the answer did not mean I was inactive. A farmer does not dig up the seed every few days to check whether it is growing. He trusts the unseen process because he understands that life develops beneath the surface before it appears above the ground. In the same way, many of the answers you seek are already unfolding in ways your eyes cannot yet recognize. You have sometimes mistaken delay for denial. You have interpreted waiting as rejection. But my beloved child, there is a profound difference between the two. A loving father may ask his child to wait, not because the gift will never come, but because the right time has not yet arrived. Timing matters. Fruit picked before it is ripe cannot nourish as it was intended. Doors opened too early may lead into places you are not prepared to enter. Because I love you completely, I care not only about what I give you but also about when I give it to you. There is another reason I sometimes allow you to walk through uncertainty. It reveals where your trust truly rests. When everything is predictable, it is easy to believe you are walking by faith. But when familiar plans fall apart, when answers seem delayed, and when the future becomes unclear, your heart discovers whether it depends upon visible certainty or upon my invisible faithfulness. These moments are not designed to expose your weakness for the purpose of shame. They are opportunities for your trust to grow stronger than your fear. Remember how a child reaches for the hand of a loving father while crossing a dark room. The child does not need to understand every shadow because the father's hand provides enough confidence to keep moving forward. The child may still ask questions. The child may still wonder what lies ahead. But the father's presence becomes greater than the child's uncertainty. My beloved child, I want my presence to become that kind of certainty in your life. Do not be discouraged if you cannot explain every chapter of your story today. Some pages only make sense when the entire book has been read. There are moments in your life that seem disconnected now, yet one day you will look back and see how every experience, every delay, every unexpected turn, and every quiet season fit together with remarkable purpose. What appears random to you has always been carefully woven together by my loving hands. So when confusion whispers that you are lost, remember that I have never lost sight of you. When fear tells you that the road has ended, remember that I have already walked ahead of you. When uncertainty tempts you to stop believing, remember the countless ways I have carried you this far. I did not bring you through every previous season to abandon you now. My beloved child, continue placing one faithful step before another. You do not need to know everything about tomorrow because you already know the one who holds tomorrow. Let your heart rest, not in complete understanding, but in complete confidence that my wisdom is greater than your questions, my love is deeper than your doubts, and my plans for you remain beautiful even when they are still hidden beyond the horizon. My beloved child, after walking with me through seasons of uncertainty, I want to speak to your heart about something that has tested your faith more than almost anything else. It is the waiting. Waiting has often felt like the heaviest burden you have carried. You have watched days become months, and months become years. You have celebrated the blessings of others while quietly wondering when your own season would arrive. You have asked me more than once, how much longer? I have heard every question, and I have never been offended by your honest heart. But now I want you to understand why my timing has never been against you. It has always been working for you. You live in a world that values speed. Everything around you encourages immediate results. You are taught that faster is better, sooner is wiser, and delay is failure. But my kingdom does not measure success by speed. I measure it by readiness. I am never impressed by how quickly something begins if it cannot endure. I delight in building lives that remain strong long after the excitement of the beginning has faded. Here's a difference between something arriving early and something arriving at the right time. An unopened flower cannot be forced to bloom before its season without harming its beauty. Fruit cannot be hurried on the branch without losing its sweetness. The sunrise cannot be pulled into the middle of the night simply because someone grows tired of waiting. Every part of creation moves according to the rhythm I established, and it flourishes because it trusts my design. My beloved child, your life is also unfolding according to a divine rhythm, even when you cannot yet see its pattern. I know there were moments when you compared your journey to the journeys of others. You saw someone else receive the opportunity you desired. You watched another person step into a relationship while you remained alone. You witnessed doors opening for people around you while yours appeared to stay firmly closed. Quietly, your heart began asking if I had forgotten you. But my child, comparison has a way of making faithful timing feel like painful delay. Imagine standing in an orchard during different seasons of the year. One tree is already heavy with fruit. Another is covered only with blossoms. A third still appears bare, as though nothing at all is happening. Yet the wise gardener does not accuse the slower tree of failure. He understands that each tree has its own season of growth. If he tried to force every tree to produce fruit on the same day, he would damage the very life he hoped to cultivate. That is how I see you. I have never measured your life against someone else's calendar. I have never looked at another person's blessing and decided you were falling behind. The path I designed for you was written with care long before you took your first breath. Every lesson, every pause, every open door, and every closed one has been woven together with wisdom that reaches beyond what you can presently understand. Sometimes my delays have been protecting you from receiving something before your character was ready to sustain it. Sometimes they have been allowing other pieces of your future to come into place. Other times, my waiting had been shaping patience, humility, compassion, and trust within you. These qualities may not seem as exciting as the blessing you are waiting for, but they are the very qualities that will enable you to enjoy that blessing without being consumed by it. Think about an archer preparing to release an arrow. Before the arrow moves forward, it is first pulled backward. If the arrow could speak, it might believe it was moving farther away from its destination. It might wonder why it was being stretched in the opposite direction. Yet the very tension it experiences is what gives it the strength to reach the place it was designed to go. My beloved child, There have been seasons when you felt as though your life was moving backward. Dreams were postponed. Plans were interrupted. Progress seemed to disappear. But what you called delay was often my preparation. I was giving you the strength to travel farther than you ever imagined possible. Do not despise the quiet days when it seems nothing is changing. Those are often the days when the deepest transformation is taking place. Every prayer spoken in faith during the waiting is strengthening your relationship with me. Every moment you choose trust instead of despair is building a foundation that no future storm will be able to destroy. Waiting has never been wasted in my hands. I also want you to know that I have never ignored your tears during these seasons. I have seen every celebration you attended, while quietly carrying your own unanswered prayers. I have seen every smile you offered others while wondering if your own breakthrough would ever come. I have seen the courage it took to keep believing after another disappointment. None of it has escaped my notice. Your perseverance has been precious to me. There will come a day when you look back on this waiting with different eyes. What once felt like empty time will reveal itself as sacred preparation. You will recognize that had I answered every prayer exactly when you first requested it, you would have missed the beauty of what I was shaping within you. You will understand that my greatest gift was not simply the blessing itself, but the person you became while waiting for it. So, my beloved child, do not lose heart because the promise has not yet appeared in the way you expected. My clock has never been late, and my hands have never been idle. I'm working with perfect wisdom, perfect love, and perfect time, and hold on to hope a little longer. Continue walking faithfully with me. The season of waiting is not the end of your story. It is the quiet chapter where roots grow deep, faith grows strong, and your heart is prepared to receive every good thing I have already planned for you since the very beginning. My beloved child, after speaking to you about waiting, I now want to reveal one of the greatest treasures that can be found within it. It is a treasure the world rarely understands because it cannot be bought, hurried, or earned through success. It is contentment. Many people spend their entire lives chasing happiness, believing it will finally arrive when they gain one more achievement, one more relationship, one more possession, or one more moment of recognition. Yet even after receiving all those things, they often discover that the emptiness within remains. That is because lasting peace does not come from what surrounds you. It comes from the one who lives within you. I never created your heart to depend upon changing circumstances for its joy. If your peace rises only when everything goes according to your plans, then your peace will disappear the moment life becomes difficult. But I desire to give you something far deeper. I desire to plant within you a quiet confidence that remains steady whether the day brings celebration or challenge, abundance or lack, companionship or solitude. There was a time when you believed that if only one missing piece could be added to your life, everything else would finally feel complete. Perhaps you thought it was a relationship. Perhaps it was a career, a dream, or an opportunity. You imagined that once you reached that destination, your heart would never feel restless again. Yet, my beloved child, even the greatest earthly blessings were never designed to become the source of your contentment. They are gifts to be enjoyed, not foundations upon which your soul should rest. Think of a river flowing from a deep spring hidden beneath the earth. During seasons of rain, the river becomes full and strong. During seasons of drought, the surface may appear smaller, but the spring beneath continues to provide fresh water. Its source is not dependent upon the weather. In the same way, I desire your joy to flow from the deep spring of my presence rather than from the changing conditions around you. This does not mean I expect you to ignore your emotions. I know there are days when loneliness still visits your heart. I know there are moments when disappointment feels heavy and tears come without warning. I do not ask you to pretend those moments do not exist. I simply ask you not to let those moments become the measure of my faithfulness. Feelings are real, but they are not always reliable guides. My truth remains constant even when your emotions rise and fall like waves upon the sea. You have already begun discovering this without fully realizing it. There have been days when nothing around you changed, yet peace quietly settled within your heart. Circumstances remain uncertain, but your spirit felt strangely calm. That was not because every problem had disappeared. It was because my presence became more real to you than your fears. That is the beginning of true contentment. Contentment is not settling for less than I have promised. It is trusting me so completely that your heart refuses to become bitter while my promises are still unfolding. It is the ability to thank me for today's grace while believing for tomorrow's blessing. It is living with open hands instead of anxious fists. It is understanding that whether you have little or much in a particular season, you are never poor as long as you possess my love. The world often mistakes contentment for a lack of ambition. But my beloved child, contentment does not stop you from growing. It simply frees you from the endless pressure to prove your worth through what you achieve. You can pursue the dreams I place before you without allowing those dreams to become your identity. You can work faithfully while remaining at peace if the results take longer than expected. You can celebrate the success of others without feeling that their blessing has diminished your own future. Imagine sitting beside a warm fire on a cold evening. The fire does not rush to prove its warmth. It simply burns steadily, filling the room with quiet comfort. In the same way, I want my peace to become a steady flame within your soul. Not loud, not dependent upon applause, simply constant. A peace that remains when life becomes uncertain. A joy that survives disappointment. A hope that refuses to surrender when answers seem delayed. As you continue walking with me, you will discover that contentment protects your heart from many unnecessary burdens. It frees you from constant comparison because you trust the path I have written for you. It releases you from the fear of missing out because you know my plans cannot be stolen by another person's success. It guards you against resentment because you understand that every good gift arrives according to my perfect wisdom. One day, I will place blessings in your hands that you have prayed for over many years. When that day comes, I do not want those blessings to become your source of joy. I want them to become expressions of the joy you already possess in me. Then, whether they remain for a season or change with time, your heart will remain secure because its deepest treasure has never been anything temporary. It has always been my presence. So, my beloved child, breathe deeply and rest in this moment. You do not need to chase peace as though it is running away from you. You do not need to fear that your happiness depends upon everything happening exactly as you planned. I am your unfailing source. I am the well that never runs dry. Walk with me each day, and let your soul learn the beautiful secret that true contentment is not found in having everything you desire, but in discovering that with me, you already possess everything your heart truly needs. My beloved child, there is one chain I have been quietly breaking from your life, even when you did not realize it was there. It is the fear of rejection. This fear has followed many people through their lives like a silent shadow. It whispers that they must constantly prove themselves, constantly earn acceptance, constantly avoid failure so they will not be abandoned. Perhaps you have carried this burden longer than you know. Perhaps some of your choices were shaped not by love, but by the fear of being left behind. Today, I want you to hear my voice more clearly than that fear. Rejection has a way of speaking long after the moment itself has passed. One painful conversation, one broken relationship, one opportunity that slipped away, or one harsh word spoken years ago can continue echoing through the heart. Without realizing it, you begin expecting every new relationship to end the same way. You become cautious with your trust. You hesitate to open your heart. You wonder if people will eventually discover something about you that makes you unworthy of staying. My beloved child, those fears were born from painful experiences, but they were never born from my truth. I have never looked at you through the eyes of rejection. I have never measured you by your failures, your weaknesses, or your past. Long before another person formed an opinion about you, I already knew everything there was to know, and I still chose to love you completely. Nothing has ever surprised me. Nothing has ever caused me to step away from you. My love has never depended on your perfection because it has always flowed from my perfect heart. Think about gold as it passes through the refining fire. The fire is not meant to destroy the gold. It reveals its purity by removing everything that does not belong. In the same way, the painful moments you have endured have not been sent to convince you that you are worthless. Instead, I have been using even those experiences to remove the lies that attached themselves to your heart. The fire was never stronger than my hands. I remained with you through every moment of it. There were times when someone failed to recognize your value. Perhaps they overlooked your kindness. Perhaps they misunderstood your intentions. Perhaps they walked away without appreciating the love you offered. Their inability to see your worth did not change your worth. A diamond does not become ordinary because someone mistakes it for a stone. Its value remains the same, whether it is recognized or ignored. My beloved child, your worth has never been determined by human recognition. It has always been established by my love. I know there were seasons when rejection tempted you to change who you were. You tried to become what others expected. You adjusted your words, your dreams, even parts of your personality, hoping that if you became more acceptable, people would remain. But love that demands you abandon the person I created you to be is not the kind of love I desire for you. I never asked you to hide your true self in order to deserve belonging. The enemy has often used rejection to convince you that isolation is safer than vulnerability. He has whispered that if you never trust anyone again, you will never be hurt again. But walls built from fear become prisons. They may keep pain outside for a while, but they also keep joy, connection, and healing from entering. I did not create your heart to live behind locked doors. I created it to breathe freely in the security of my love. That does not mean everyone will always understand you. Even those who genuinely care for you will sometimes disappoint you because they are still learning, still growing, still imperfect. But when your identity is rooted in me, disappointment no longer destroys you. It may still hurt, but it will not define you. You will grieve without losing hope. You will forgive without losing yourself. You will continue loving because your ability to love no longer depends upon being treated perfectly. Imagine an eagle soaring high above the mountains. It does not waste its strength trying to convince every creature below that it was made to fly. It simply rises upon the wind it was created to trust. My beloved child, I want you to stop spending your precious energy trying to convince everyone of your value. Rise into the purpose I have given you. Those who are meant to walk beside you will recognize the work I am doing within you, and those who cannot see it are not the ones who determine your identity. Every time fear whispers that you will be abandoned, remember that I have remained faithful through every season. Every time insecurity tells you that you are not enough, remember that my grace has always been enough for you. Every time old wounds try to reopen, place them into my hands again. Healing is not a single moment. It is a daily choice to believe my truth more than yesterday's pain. My beloved child, I am calling you into a new freedom. Lift your eyes from the voices that rejected you and fix them upon the voice that has always called you beloved. Let my acceptance become louder than every criticism. Let my faithfulness become stronger than every memory of betrayal. Walk forward knowing that you no longer need to earn a place in my heart because you have always had one. From this day forward, refuse to let rejection write another chapter of your story. I am the author of your life, and I have written something far more beautiful. I have written a story of acceptance, restoration, courage, and unwavering love. As you continue walking with me, the fear that once controlled your heart will lose its power, and in its place will rise the quiet confidence of a beloved child who knows that nothing can separate them from the everlasting love of their heavenly Father. My beloved child, after I have begun breaking the chains of rejection from your heart, I want you to see something that has been happening throughout every trial, every delay, every lonely night, and every unanswered question. You have become stronger than you realize. I know there are days when you still feel fragile. There are moments when you wonder if you are making any progress at all. But do not judge your strength only by how you feel in a difficult moment. Look instead at how far I have brought you. The very fact that you are still walking with me is evidence that my strength has been growing within you. There was a time when the smallest disappointment could shake your entire world. A single unanswered prayer would leave you wondering if I was listening. A harsh word could remain in your thoughts for weeks. A closed door could convince you that your future had been lost. I never condemned you for those moments. You were learning to trust. But now, look carefully. The storms still come, yet you do not collapse the way you once did. The questions still arise, yet hope continues to remain. You still have tears, but you also have peace. That is not because life has become easier. It is because I have been making you stronger. Strength does not always appear the way the world expects. The world often imagines strength as never crying, never struggling, and never admitting weakness. But my beloved child, true strength is not pretending that pain does not exist. True strength is continuing to trust me while carrying that pain. It is choosing faith when fear offers easier answers. It is choosing forgiveness when resentment seems justified. It is choosing hope when circumstances give you every reason to surrender. Think about the muscles within your body. They do not become stronger by remaining comfortable. They grow through resistance. Every challenge they overcome prepares them to carry greater weight in the future. Without resistance, they remain weak. In the same way, the trials you have faced have not been meaningless burdens. They have become opportunities for your spiritual strength to grow. I know there were days when you prayed for me to remove every difficulty immediately. You asked me to take away every obstacle so you could finally rest. But my beloved child, if I remove every challenge from your path, I would also remove many of the opportunities through which your faith becomes resilient. I have never enjoyed watching you suffer, but I have always rejoiced in watching my grace carry you through what once seemed impossible. Remember how a blacksmith shapes steel. The metal is placed into intense heat, then carefully hammered and shaped. To someone who does not understand the process, it may appear harsh, but the blacksmith knows that each strike is strengthening the steel for its future purpose. If the steel could speak, it might ask why the fire and the hammer are necessary. Yet without them, it would never become the strong instrument it was created to be. My beloved child, I have never allowed hardship into your life without also holding you securely through it. Every challenge has remained under my loving authority. The fire has never burned beyond what my grace could sustain. The pressure has never exceeded the strength I was building within you. Even when you believed you were barely surviving, my spirit was quietly forming endurance that no earthly circumstance could destroy. You have noticed changes within yourself, even if only in small ways. You recover from disappointment more quickly than before. You seek my presence sooner instead of remaining trapped in despair. You are becoming less controlled by fear and more guided by peace. You have learned that not every unanswered question requires immediate understanding. These are not small victories. They are signs that your roots have grown deeper. There is another kind of strength I have been nurturing within you, the strength to remain gentle. Many people become hard after being hurt. They allow pain to make them cold, suspicious, or bitter. But I have been teaching you that true strength does not lose compassion. Even after what you have endured, your heart is still capable of kindness. You still care. You still pray for others. You still desire to love. That is not weakness. That is my love becoming stronger within you than the wounds you have experienced. One day, someone will look at your life and wonder how you remained faithful through so many difficult seasons. They will assume you were naturally strong. But you will know the truth. You will remember the nights when you thought you could not take another step. You will remember the prayers whispered through tears. You will remember the moments when all you could do was place one trembling hand into mine. And you will testify that it was never your strength that carried you. It was mine. Do not underestimate what I have been building inside you. Every trial has become another stone in the foundation of your faith. Every act of perseverance has strengthened your character. Every moment you chose to trust me instead of giving into despair has added another layer of courage to your soul. The person you are becoming today is able to carry responsibilities that the person you were years ago could not have carried. So when weakness tries to discourage you, remember where your strength comes from. It has never depended upon your own ability. It has always flowed from my presence within you. You do not have to be fearless to be courageous. You do not have to have every answer to keep moving forward. You only need to keep taking my hand, one day at a time. My beloved child, the road ahead will still have challenges, but you do not need to fear them. I have been preparing you for every step. The same Father who has strengthened you through every previous season will continue strengthening you in every season yet to come. You are no longer the person who first entered this journey. You have been refined, restored, and quietly strengthened by my faithful love. Walk forward with confidence, knowing that whatever lies ahead, my strength within you will always be greater than the trials before you. My beloved child, now that you have begun to see the strength I have been building within you, I want to help you understand another mystery that has often troubled your heart. It is the purpose behind waiting. Waiting has never been an empty space where nothing happens. It has always been a sacred place where I prepare both the promise and the person who will receive it. You have often focused on what you are waiting for, while I have been lovingly focused on who you are becoming during the wait. There have been days when you believed your life had been placed on hold. You watched others move ahead while your own journey seemed to pause. You wondered if you had missed an opportunity or taken a wrong turn. You questioned whether your prayers had somehow become lost in the silence. But my beloved child, nothing about your life has been forgotten. I have never misplaced a promise, and I have never abandoned a purpose I have spoken over you. When you look at a bow in the hands of an archer, you see something remarkable. Before the arrow is released toward its destination, it must first be drawn backward. If the arrow could think, it might believe it was moving farther away from everything it desired. It might question the hands holding it. It might wonder why it was being pulled in the opposite direction. Yet the archer understands something the arrow cannot see. The backward movement is what gives the arrow the strength to travel farther than it ever could on its own. My beloved child, there have been seasons when I have drawn you back, not to punish you, but to prepare you. The delay was not a sign that I had changed my mind about your future. It was a sign that I was increasing your capacity. The stretching you have experienced has been uncomfortable, but it has not been meaningless. Every moment of surrender, every lesson in patience, every act of faith has been increasing the strength you will need for what lies ahead. There are blessings that seem beautiful from a distance, but require wisdom to carry. There are opportunities that look exciting but demand a level of maturity that only time can produce. If I place those things into your hands too soon, they might become burdens instead of blessings. Because I love you completely and I care as much about your readiness as I do about your desire. Think of a musician preparing for a great performance. The audience only sees the moment when the music fills the room. They applaud the beauty of the finished piece. What they do not see are the countless hours of practice, the repeated mistakes, the quiet discipline, and the patient refinement that took place when no one was watching. Without those hidden hours, the public moment would never have been possible. In much the same way, the quiet seasons of your life have been preparing you for moments that will one day reveal my faithfulness in ways you cannot yet imagine. You have sometimes asked me why I did not simply remove every obstacle from your path. But if there were no obstacles, how would you discover the depth of my strength? If every answer came immediately, how would your trust learn to grow? If every door opened the first time you knocked, how would you recognize the beauty of my perfect timing? The waiting has not been an interruption to your story. It has been one of the most important chapters within it. Do not believe the lie that you are falling behind. There is no race in my kingdom where my children compete against one another for my blessings. I have not assigned you someone else's timeline, nor have I asked you to imitate another person's journey. I have written your story with loving intention. Every chapter has its purpose, and every page is leading toward the future I have prepared for you. While you have been waiting, I have been arranging details beyond your sight. I have been opening hearts you have not yet met. I have been closing paths that would have distracted you. I have been aligning circumstances that could never have come together through your own effort alone. There are conversations already being prepared. There are opportunities already taking shape. There are answers already moving toward you according to my perfect wisdom. I also want you to notice something beautiful about your own heart. The person who first entered this waiting season is not the same person standing here today. You have become more compassionate because you understand pain. You have become more patient because you have learned to trust my timing. You have become more humble because you know your strength comes from me. These changes are not small. They are precious. They are preparing you not only to receive blessings, but also to steward them with gratitude and wisdom. One day, when I place the fulfillment of these promises into your hands, you will look back with different eyes. You will realize that if everything had happened according to your original schedule, you would have missed the deeper work I was accomplishing within you. You will thank me not only for the answer, but also for the waiting that made your heart ready to receive it. So, my beloved child, do not grow weary in this season. Continue trusting me with quiet confidence. Continue placing one faithful step before another. Continue believing that my delays are never empty and my silence is never careless. I am the author of time itself, and I know exactly when every promise should unfold. The waiting is not evidence that I have forgotten you. It is evidence that I am preparing something worthy of the child I love. And when the moment of fulfillment arrives, you will see that every day of waiting was held securely in my hands, leading you with perfect love toward the future I have always intended for you. My beloved child, after walking with you through seasons of waiting, healing, strengthening, and preparation, I now want to speak directly to the empty places that still remain within your heart. I know there are moments when, despite everything you have learned, you still feel an ache that words cannot fully describe. There are times when the house feels too quiet, when memories return without invitation, and when your heart longs for closeness that seems just beyond your reach. I do not ignore those moments. I enter them. I come into the very places where you feel empty because I alone can fill what the world was never designed to satisfy. Many people spend their lives trying to fill the emptiness within themselves. Some chase success, believing achievement will silence their loneliness. Others pursue wealth, hoping comfort will remove their fears. Some seek constant entertainment so they never have to sit quietly with their own thoughts. Others pour themselves into relationships, expecting another person to heal wounds only I can restore. Yet no matter how many temporary comforts they gather, the emptiness always returns because they are trying to satisfy an eternal longing with temporary things. My beloved child, that longing inside you is not a mistake. I placed it there. It is the quiet invitation that continually draws your heart back to me. It is the reminder that your soul was created for something greater than anything this world can offer. Every earthly blessing has its place, but none of them were ever meant to replace my presence. Imagine a dry land that has gone without rain for many months. The ground becomes cracked. The rivers shrink. The plants begin to wither under the weight of endless heat. From a distance, it appears lifeless. Yet beneath the surface, the earth still waits for the rain it cannot produce on its own. Then the clouds gather, and gentle rain begins to fall. Slowly the hard ground softens. Tiny streams begin to flow again. Seeds that seemed forgotten suddenly awaken with new life. My beloved child, I am like that living water for your soul. There have been seasons when your heart felt dry because you carried burdens too heavy to bear alone. You gave so much of yourself that you forgot to receive from me. You tried to stay strong for everyone else while quietly becoming exhausted inside. But I never asked you to survive on your own strength. I have always invited you to come to me again and again, allowing my love to refresh what life has drained. There is no shame in admitting that you need me. In fact, it is in that humble acknowledgement that true strength begins. The world often celebrates independence as though needing no one is the highest achievement. But I created you differently. I created you to live in continual relationship with me. Just as a branch cannot remain healthy apart from the vine, your soul finds its fullest life when it remains connected to my love. Do not believe the lie that coming to me with your emptiness makes you weak. It is actually an act of great faith. It is declaring that you trust my heart more than your own ability to hold everything together. Every time you bring your weariness to me instead of hiding it, you allow my peace to enter another room of your heart. You have already experienced glimpses of this. There were days when nothing around you changed, yet after spending quiet time with me, you found yourself breathing more deeply. Your circumstances remained the same, but the weight upon your soul became lighter. Hope returned where despair had settled. Calm replaced panic. Those moments were not accidents. They were the evidence of my spirit gently filling the places where fear once lived. I want your heart to stop living as though it must always be searching for something missing. My beloved child, when you know me deeply, you begin to realize that you are not walking through life as someone incomplete desperately looking for completion. You are walking as someone already deeply loved, already fully accepted, already richly supplied by my grace. Relationships become gifts instead of desperate needs. Success becomes a tool instead of an identity. Blessings become reasons for gratitude rather than the source of your peace. This is why I have been so patient with your journey. I have not been preparing you merely to receive good things. I have been preparing you to enjoy those good things without allowing them to replace me. I want your joy to remain steady whether life is overflowing with abundance or passing through a quiet season. I want your heart to become like a well continually filled by my presence, able to offer living water to others because it is constantly receiving from me. There will always be moments when loneliness tries to return and remind you of your past. When it does, do not answer it with fear. Answer it by drawing closer to me. Let my voice remind you that you have never been abandoned. Let my love remind you that your value is never dependent upon who stands beside you. Let my presence become the home where your soul finally rests. My beloved child, I am not merely visiting the empty places within you. I am making them new. I am replacing fear with peace, striving with rest, and emptiness with the overflowing abundance of my love. Drink deeply from the living water I freely offer. Let it wash over every dry place, every hidden wound, and every lingering doubt. As you continue walking with me, you will discover that the deepest satisfaction your heart has ever longed for has never been found in this world. It has always been found in the unchanging, unfailing, everlasting love of your Heavenly Father. My beloved child, now that you are beginning to understand that my love is enough to fill every empty place, I want to lift your eyes beyond this present season. I know it is easy to become so focused on today's struggles that tomorrow begins to feel hidden behind a wall of uncertainty. But I did not create you to live with your eyes fixed only on what has been. I created you to walk forward with hope because I am already waiting for you in the future I have prepared. There have been moments when you quietly wondered if this season of loneliness would last forever. You looked at the passing days and thought, what if this is all my life will ever be? Those thoughts did not come from me. Fear has always tried to convince you that temporary seasons are permanent realities. It whispers that because something has lasted a long time, it will never change. But my beloved child, I am the God who brings dawn after the longest night. No darkness has ever had the power to stop the morning I have already appointed. Think of the horizon just before sunrise. The world is often at its darkest in those final moments before the first light appears. If someone judged only by what they could see, they might believe the darkness would continue forever. Yet the sun has already begun its journey. Though hidden from their eyes, it is faithfully rising according to the time I established. In the same way, there are blessings already moving toward your life that you cannot yet see. Their arrival is not determined by your fear or your impatience. It is guided by my perfect wisdom. I want you to stop imagining your future through the lens of your past. Too often, your mind has taken yesterday's disappointments and projected them onto tomorrow. Because one relationship ended, you feared every future relationship would end the same way. Because one opportunity closed, you assumed every future door would remain shut. Because one season felt lonely, you wondered if loneliness had become your permanent identity. My beloved child, your past may explain some of your pain, but it does not have permission to write your future. I alone hold that authority. There is a garden I have been preparing beyond the wilderness you have been walking through. Just because you cannot yet see it does not mean it is not real. Every lesson you have learned has been leading you toward it. Every tear surrendered into my hands has watered seeds you did not even know were being planted. Every moment of obedience, every act of trust, and every quiet prayer has become part of the path leading you into the next chapter of your life. You may ask, when will I arrive? My beloved child, arrival is not a single moment. It is a journey of walking with me each day. There will always be new places for us to go together, new depths of my love to discover, new ways in which I will reveal my faithfulness. Do not become so focused on one future destination that you overlook the beauty of my presence today. I am not only waiting for you at the end of the road. I am walking beside you with every step you take. Still, I want you to know that I delight in giving good gifts to my children. I have not forgotten the desires you have entrusted to me. I remember the prayers you prayed years ago, even those you have stopped repeating because you thought they would never be answered. I have held them all. Some have already been answered in ways you have not yet recognized. Others are waiting for the appointed time and have been ignored. There are people you have not yet met whose lives will become deeply connected with yours. There are conversations that will restore hope when you least expect it. There are opportunities that will open so naturally that you will recognize my hand immediately. There are moments of joy that will make you smile as you remember the nights when you wondered if joy would ever return. I have already seen those days, my beloved child, and I have been leading you toward them with unwavering care. Do not allow disappointment to make you afraid of hoping again. Hope is not foolish when it rests in me. Hope anchored in my promises is stronger than the disappointments of yesterday because my faithfulness has never been limited by your circumstances. Every promise I speak carries the power to accomplish what I have declared. As you move forward, do not carry the heavy expectation that everything must happen exactly as you have imagined. My plans are often more beautiful than the pictures your mind has created. You have asked me for streams while I have planned rivers. You have asked me for shelter while I have prepared a home. You have asked me for moments of peace while I have desired to fill your life with lasting joy. Trust that what I give you will always be shaped by a wisdom far greater than your own. Lift your eyes, my beloved child. The future is not your enemy. It is not a place where fear waits to meet you. It is a place where my faithfulness is already at work. Every step you take in trust brings you closer to blessings prepared with love before you ever knew you would need them. The loneliness of this season is not the final sentence of your story. It is only one chapter, and I am still writing. So walk into tomorrow with confidence, not because you know every detail that awaits you, but because you know the one who holds every detail in his hands. I go before you to prepare the way. I walk beside you to strengthen your heart. I remain behind you, redeeming every mistake and every sorrow. And above all, I remain within you, filling you with hope that cannot be extinguished. Your future is secure because it rests not in chance, but in the loving hands of your Heavenly Father, who has always been leading you toward a destiny filled with purpose, peace, and everlasting love. My beloved child, as your eyes begin to lift toward the future I have prepared, I want to remove another burden that has quietly followed you through many seasons. It is the burden of fear. Fear has often stood at the doorway of tomorrow, trying to convince you that what lies ahead will only bring more pain, more disappointment, or more loneliness. It has whispered that because you were hurt before, you will be hurt again. It has tried to persuade you that the safest way to live is to expect the worst. But I did not create you to walk through life as a prisoner of fear. I created you to walk beside me with confidence. Fear is a poor guide because it sees only danger. It cannot recognize purpose. It magnifies every shadow while ignoring the light that is already rising. It tells you to stop before you even begin. It convinces you to close your heart before love has a chance to enter. It urges you to remain where you are because familiar pain seems less frightening than an unknown future. Yet, my beloved child, remaining where fear is comfortable will never lead you into the fullness of what I have prepared. There were moments when fear disguised itself as wisdom and told you not to trust anyone because someone once betrayed you. It told you not to dream because a previous dream did not come true. It told you not to hope because hope might lead to disappointment. Slowly, without realizing it, fear tried to shrink the size of your world. It attempted to keep you safe by keeping you still. But I have never called you to a life ruled by fear. I have called you to a life guided by my presence. Imagine a small child walking through a forest with a loving father. The trees are tall, The path is unfamiliar. Strange sounds echo through the woods. The child could become overwhelmed by everything that seems uncertain. Yet when the child reaches up and places a small hand into the father's hand, something changes. The forest has not disappeared. The path is still winding. But the child no longer walks alone. Confidence replaces panic because the child trusts the one who knows the way. My beloved child, this is how I desire you to walk with me. I have never promised that every road would be easy. I have never said you would never experience another disappointment. But I have promised that you will never face those moments without me. That promise changes everything. Courage is not the absence of difficulty. Courage is the quiet decision to keep walking because you know I am holding your hand. There have already been many times when my protection surrounded you without your awareness. You crossed paths with situations that could have harmed you, yet my hand redirected your steps. You recovered from heartbreaks that once seemed impossible to survive because my grace quietly carried you. You found peace after nights of anxiety because my spirit remained faithful. If I have carried you through every yesterday, why should you believe I will abandon you tomorrow? Sometimes fear speaks so loudly that you mistake it for reality. It paints pictures of failure before you have even taken the first step. It invents conversations that have never happened. It creates endings before stories have even begun. But my voice does not work that way. I speak truth. I speak hope. I remind you of my faithfulness rather than your worst imaginings. Whenever fear begins telling you stories about the future, answer it with the stories of my goodness you have already lived. Remember the valleys I brought you through. Remember the doors I opened when none seemed possible. Remember the nights when you believed you could not endure another day, yet somehow my strength carried you into the morning. Those memories are not simply part of your past. They are testimonies meant to strengthen your faith for the future. I also want you to understand that courage grows one step at a time. You do not need enough strength today for every challenge you will ever face. I have never asked that of you. I only ask you to trust me with today's step. Tomorrow's grace will arrive tomorrow. Next season's strength will come with next season. I have never failed to provide what my children need when they need it. Think about a lamp carried through the darkness. It does not illuminate the entire journey at once. It provides enough light for the next few steps. Yet those few steps are always enough to keep moving forward. My guidance works the same way. I do not overwhelm you with every detail of the future. I faithfully provide the light you need for this moment, and as you continue walking with me, more light appears. Do not allow fear to convince you that your past has more authority than my promises. Your scars do not determine your destiny. Your disappointments do not cancel my plans. Your loneliness does not define your future. I am greater than every painful chapter you have lived through, and I am fully able to write new chapters filled with healing, purpose, and joy. So, my beloved child, lift your head and loosen your grip on fear. It has carried enough influence over your life. Place your hand into mine again. Walk with me through unfamiliar places. Trust me with dreams that still seem impossible. Believe me when I tell you that my love is stronger than your anxiety, my wisdom is greater than your confusion, and my presence is more powerful than every shadow that tries to frighten you. The road ahead is not one you must travel by yourself. I am beside you with every breath, every decision, every victory, and every challenge. As long as my hand is holding yours, you have every reason to walk forward without fear, because the one who leads you has never once lost his way, and he never will. My beloved child, now that you are learning to loosen your grip on fear and place your hand more firmly in mine, I want to show you the quiet beauty of trust. Trust is not built in a single moment. It is woven through countless ordinary days when you choose to believe my heart, even when you cannot yet understand my ways. It grows every time you surrender a question instead of allowing it to become a prison. It deepens every time you choose my peace over your own understanding. I know there have been seasons when you wanted explanations more than my presence. You searched for reasons behind every disappointment. You wanted every delay to make sense before you could rest. You believed that if you could only understand everything I was doing, then your heart would finally have peace. But my beloved child, peace does not come from knowing every answer. Peace comes from knowing the one who holds every answer. When a child travels with a loving father through unfamiliar places, the child does not usually study every map or question every turn in the road. The child rests because the father knows the destination. That confidence does not come from understanding the journey. It comes from trusting the one leading the way. I desire that same confidence to grow within you. There are paths I have led you down that seemed confusing at first. You wondered why one opportunity disappeared just as it seemed within reach. You questioned why certain relationships faded even after you had prayed for them to remain. You struggled to understand why some prayers were answered quickly while others seemed to wait in silence. Yet when you look back today, can you not see that many of those unanswered questions eventually revealed my wisdom? Doors that closed protected you from roads that would have wounded you. Endings that once broke your heart made room for beginnings that brought healing. Even now, there are things you cannot yet see. There are reasons that remain hidden, not because I delight in mystery, but because your heart is still growing into the fullness of what I am preparing. If I revealed every detail before its time, you might depend upon knowledge instead of faith. You might cling to the plan rather than to me. But I want your greatest confidence to rest in my character, not merely in my gifts. Think about a seed planted deep beneath the soil. Once it disappears beneath the earth, everything appears quiet. From above, it seems as though nothing is happening. Yet hidden beneath the surface, roots are spreading, life is awakening, and strength is quietly forming. The seed does not demand to see every stage of its own growth. It simply responds to the design I placed within it. In the same way, I have planted my promises within your heart. Even when you cannot see visible progress, my work continues beneath the surface. My beloved child, I have never confused silence with absence. There have been moments when my voice seemed softer than you expected, but my hand never left you. During those quiet seasons, I was teaching you to recognize my faithfulness in ways that did not depend upon constant signs or immediate answers. I was inviting you into a deeper relationship where trust becomes stronger than feelings. Feelings are real, but they are not always reliable guides. Some mornings you awaken full of confidence. Other days uncertainty tries to cloud your thoughts before the day even begins. If your faith rises and falls with every emotion, your heart will never know lasting stability. That is why I am teaching you to anchor yourself in my unchanging love. My promises remain true whether your emotions are calm or restless. My presence remains constant whether you feel close to me or struggle to sense me. Here is a river that flows steadily through every season. During times of heavy rain, it continues flowing. During seasons of drought, it still finds its way forward. Its strength is not determined by the weather alone, but by the constant source that feeds it. My beloved child, I want your trust to become like that river. Let it be nourished by my faithfulness rather than by changing circumstances. When joy comes, trust me. When sorrow visits, trust me. When answers arrive, trust me. When questions remain, trust me still. You may wonder whether your faith is strong enough. Do not measure it by perfection. Measure it by your willingness to keep coming back to me. Every time you choose prayer instead of despair, trust is growing. Every time you choose gratitude instead of bitterness, trust is growing. Every time you surrender tomorrow into my hands and faithfully live today, trust is growing. These quiet choices may seem small, but they are shaping a heart that cannot easily be shaken. One day you will look back over this entire season and realize that the greatest gift was not simply the answers you receive. The greatest gift was the relationship we built together along the way. You will discover that while you were asking me to change your circumstances, I was lovingly transforming your heart. I was teaching you to rest without having every explanation. I was showing you that my love is dependable even when life feels uncertain. So, my beloved child, release the burden of needing to understand everything before you can move forward. Place your unanswered questions into my hands. Walk with me one faithful step at a time. Trust that I see every hidden path, every unseen danger, and every blessing waiting beyond the horizon. My plans for you have never depended upon your ability to understand them. They have always depended upon my perfect love, my infinite wisdom, and my unwavering faithfulness. Rest in truth, and let your heart find peace in the certainty that the Father who has carried you this far will never fail to lead you safely through every step that still lies ahead. My beloved child, as trust begins to take deeper root within your heart, I want you to discover another beautiful truth that will transform the way you see your life. Your loneliness has never been the end of your story. It has been the place where compassion was quietly born. The pain you have endured was never meant to stop with you. I have been shaping it into something that will one day bring comfort, hope, and healing to others. There were many moments when you asked me why your heart had to experience such deep sorrow. You wondered why certain wounds could not have been avoided. You questioned why you had to walk through valleys that seemed so lonely. I heard every question. I collected every tear. I never dismissed your pain or treated it as though it were insignificant. Yet even while you were weeping, I was already preparing to redeem every part of your journey. Pain is a way of opening the heart in ways comfort often cannot. Those who have never walked through darkness sometimes struggle to understand those who are still searching for light. But you, my beloved child, are becoming someone who can recognize silent suffering even when no words are spoken. You notice the lonely person in the room. You hear the trembling behind another person's smile. You understand the weight hidden behind quiet eyes because you have carried that weight yourself. This is one of the ways I transform suffering into purpose. Think about a candle burning in a dark room. It does not argue with the darkness. It does not complain about the night surrounding it. It simply shines. The very fire that melts the candle also releases the light that guides others. In much the same way, the experiences that have softened your heart are allowing my love to shine through you. What once seemed like a source of weakness is becoming a source of hope for someone else. I know there were times when you wished you could erase parts of your past. You thought that if those painful chapters disappeared, your life would finally be complete. But if every difficult chapter were removed, many of the lessons that now live within your heart would disappear as well. The compassion you carry, the patience you have learned, the gentleness you now offer, and the understanding you extend to others have all been shaped through experiences you never would have chosen. This does not mean I delighted in your suffering. My heart grieved with you through every painful season. I never desired evil to touch your life. But because my love is greater than every broken thing this world can produce, I have the power to redeem what was meant for harm. I can weave beauty through brokenness and bring life from places that once seemed beyond hope. There will come a day when someone will sit before you carrying the same questions you once whispered to me. They will wonder if anyone understands their loneliness. They will believe they are forgotten. They will think no one could possibly know how deeply they hurt. And in that moment, I will gently remind you of where I brought you from. You will not speak empty words. You will speak with compassion born from experience. Your presence alone will become evidence that healing is possible. Never underestimate the quiet influence of a heart that hath been healed by my love. The world often celebrates loud voices, impressive achievements, and outward success, but I delight in hearts that reflect my compassion. A single act of kindness offered to someone who feels invisible can change the direction of their life. A patient conversation can restore hope. A gentle word spoken at the right moment can remind another soul that they are not alone. My beloved child, I have not only been healing you for your own sake. I have been preparing you to become a living reminder of my faithfulness. Wherever you go, I want others to encounter my love through the way you listen, forgive, encourage, and care. You do not need perfect words. You do not need extraordinary abilities. You simply need a willing heart that allows my love to flow freely. Do not think your story is too ordinary to matter. Some of the greatest miracles happen quietly. A seed does not make noise as it grows beneath the soil, yet one day it becomes a tree that offers shade to countless travelers. In the same way, the work I have been doing within you may seem hidden now, but its fruit will bless people you have not even met yet. There will also be moments when you are tempted to compare your calling with someone else's. Resist that temptation, my beloved child. I have not asked you to become another person. I created you with a unique heart, unique experiences, and unique gifts. The comfort you offer will reach people that others cannot reach because your journey has prepared you in a way no one else's could. As you continue walking with me, let your pain become a doorway instead of a prison. Let it open your heart rather than harden it. Allow every scar I have healed to become a testimony of my goodness. Refuse to hide the grace I have poured into your life. The world does not need another person pretending to have a perfect life. It needs people who have discovered that even in brokenness my love remains faithful. So, my beloved child, lift your eyes beyond yourself. There are lives waiting to be touched by the compassion I have placed within you. There are weary hearts longing for the same hope I have given you. As you walk forward, carry my love generously. Let your words bring peace. Let your actions reflect my kindness. Let your life quietly proclaim that no season of loneliness is ever wasted when it is placed into the hands of a loving Father, because I am always able to transform sorrow into purpose, wounds into wisdom, and healed hearts into vessels of my everlasting love. My beloved child, after everything I have been teaching you, there is one final burden from your past that I want you to lay down before me. It is the burden of regret. Regret has a way of convincing you that your greatest mistakes have permanently defined your future. It invites you to replay old memories again and again, searching for different endings that can never be changed. It whispers that if only you had made another decision, spoken different words, or chosen another path, your life would be completely different today. But my beloved child, I did not create you to live facing yesterday. I created you to walk forward with me. I know there are moments when your mind returns to opportunities you believe you missed. You remember relationships that ended badly. You think about words you wish you could take back. You revisit seasons when fear influenced your decisions instead of faith. Sometimes you even blame yourself for circumstances that were never fully within your control. Your heart becomes heavy because you believe you should have known more, done more, or been stronger than you were at the time. But listen carefully to my voice. You are judging your past with the wisdom you have gained today. You are expecting the person you once were to possess the understanding that only years of walking with me could produce. That is neither fair nor true. The child you were, the person you were becoming, made decisions with the knowledge and strength available at that moment. Since then, I have been teaching you, shaping you, and filling you with wisdom you did not yet possess. Do not condemn yesterday's version of yourself for not knowing what I had not yet revealed. Think of a traveler walking through a thick morning fog. The path ahead is difficult to see. Each step is taken with limited vision. Later, when the sun rises and the entire landscape becomes visible, it is easy to say the traveler should have chosen another route. But while standing inside the fog, the traveler could only respond to what was visible at the time. My beloved child, much of your life has been lived one faithful step at a time. I have never expected you to see what only I could see. This is why my grace is so precious. My grace does not merely forgive your sins. It also frees you from the endless prison of self-condemnation. When you sincerely place your failures into my hands, I do not hold them over your head. I do not repeatedly remind you of them. I redeem them. I teach you through them. I transform them into wisdom that guides your future instead of chains that imprison your present. There are moments you wish you could erase from your story. Yet even those moments have become places where my mercy has met you most deeply. Without them, you might never have understood the depth of my compassion. Without your weaknesses, you might have trusted only in your own strength. Without your failures, you might never have discovered how faithful I remain when you stumble. Remember how a skilled artist restores an old painting that has been damaged by time. To someone unfamiliar with the process, the marks and imperfections may seem impossible to repair. But the artist patiently cleans, restores, and renews the canvas until beauty begins to emerge again. The finished work does not deny that restoration was needed. Instead, it reveals the artist's extraordinary ability to redeem what once appeared ruined. My beloved child, I am that artist. Your life has always been safely held in my hands. There is no chapter so damaged that I cannot restore it. There is no mistake so great that my mercy cannot reach it. There is no wasted season that I cannot weave into a testimony of my faithfulness. What you have surrendered to me is never wasted. Do not allow regret to steal the joy of the present. Every moment spent wishing you could relive yesterday is a moment you cannot fully embrace today. I have placed fresh opportunities before you. New mercies greet you each morning. New lessons await you. New relationships, new acts of kindness, new expressions of faith, and new reasons for hope are all part of the life unfolding before you. Do not let your eyes remain fixed on doors that have already closed while I am gently opening new ones before you. There is another beautiful truth I want you to remember. Some of the paths you called mistakes became the very roads that led you closer to me. Had everything unfolded according to your own plans, you might have relied only upon yourself. But when your plans failed, your heart learned to seek my presence with greater sincerity. Even through your missteps, I was leading you toward a deeper relationship with me. That does not mean every choice was perfect, but it does mean my redeeming love has always been greater than your imperfections. Forgive yourself as I have forgiven you. Release the version of yourself that still carries unnecessary shame. Stop speaking over your life with words that I have never spoken over you. I do not call you hopeless. I do not call you ruined. I do not call you beyond repair. I call you my beloved child. I call you redeemed. I call you restored. I call you chosen, cherished, and deeply loved. So lift your head and leave regret where it belongs, in my hands. Let my grace become louder than every accusation. Let my mercy speak more powerfully than every memory of failure. Walk into this new day with the confidence that your past hath been touched by my redemption, and your future is being shaped by my love. You are not defined by the worst moment of your life. You are defined by the one who never stopped loving you through every moment, and who continues to lead you into a future filled with hope, healing, purpose, and the endless joy of walking beside your Heavenly Father. My beloved child, after laying down the weight of regret, I want to invite you into something even more precious. I want you to learn the quiet strength of gratitude. Gratitude is not pretending that every season has been easy. It is not denying the tears you have shed or the questions you have carried. Gratitude is the peaceful recognition that even through every hardship, my hand has never stopped holding yours. It is seeing my faithfulness woven through moments that once seemed ordinary, unnoticed, or even painful. There was a time when you believed that joy could only arrive after every problem had disappeared. You thought peace would come once every prayer had been answered and every dream had been fulfilled. But my beloved child, if joy depends only on perfect circumstances, it will always remain fragile. I desire to give you something deeper. I desire to place within you a joy that remains steady because it is rooted in my unchanging love rather than in the changing events of life. Look back for a moment, not to reopen old wounds, but to recognize how faithfully I have carried you. There were mornings when you did not think you had the strength to rise, yet you found yourself taking another step. There were nights when your heart was overwhelmed, yet somehow peace quietly settled over your soul. There were moments when you believed you had reached the end of your strength, only to discover that my grace was still enough. Those moments were not coincidences. They were reminders that I have been present in every chapter of your story. Think about a mighty tree standing through every season of the year. During spring, it is filled with fresh blossoms. In summer, it offers shade and fruit. During autumn, it releases its leaves without fear. In winter, it appears bare, yet life continues deep within its roots. The tree does not stop, trusting the changing seasons because its roots reach deeper than what is visible above the ground. My beloved child, I want your heart to become like that tree. Let your gratitude sink deep into my faithfulness so that every season, whether joyful or difficult, finds you firmly rooted in my love. Gratitude changes the way you see your life. Instead of focusing only on what has not yet arrived, you begin to notice the blessings already surrounding you. You notice the breath within your lungs. You notice the quiet moments of peace that once passed unnoticed. You become thankful for friendships that remain when others walked away. You recognize the wisdom gained through trials, the strength formed through waiting, and the compassion born from your own healing. Slowly, your heart begins to see abundance where it once saw only lack. This does not mean you stop bringing your desires to me. I delight when you speak honestly with me about the longings of your heart. But I also want you to discover that contentment and expectation can live together. You can eagerly await what I have promised while still giving thanks for what I have already provided. A grateful heart does not stop dreaming. It simply refuses to overlook today's blessings while waiting for tomorrow's gifts. There is another beautiful mystery hidden within gratitude. The more thankful your heart becomes, the less power fear and bitterness have over you. Gratitude gently loosens their grip. It reminds you that I have been faithful before, and therefore I will be faithful again. It shifts your attention away from endless worry and toward the countless ways I have already cared for you. This is why thanksgiving brings peace. It helps your heart remember my character. You may not always understand why certain chapters unfolded as they did, but you can always trust the one who remained faithful throughout every page. Even now, there are blessings you have not yet recognized because they arrived wearing the clothing of unexpected change. Some closed doors protected you. Some delays preserved you. Some lonely seasons drew you closer to me than comfort ever could. One day, you will look back with clear eyes and give thanks for things you once struggled to accept. My beloved child, make gratitude a daily conversation between your heart and mine. Thank me for the small mercies as well as the great miracles. Thank me for the sunrise that greets another morning. Thank me for the strength to keep moving forward. Thank me for every lesson that has made your heart wiser and more compassionate. Gratitude is not a duty I demand from you. It is a gift that allows your soul to remain aware of my constant goodness. As you cultivate this thankful heart, you will also become a source of encouragement to those around you. People will notice a quiet peace within you that cannot be explained by circumstances alone. They will wonder how you continue smiling after difficult seasons, how hope remains alive despite past disappointments, and how love continues flowing from your life after all you have endured. The answer will not be found in your own strength. It will be found in the faithfulness of the Father who never abandoned you. So, my beloved child, let gratitude become the melody that gently fills your heart each day. Let it remind you that you have never walked alone, not for a single moment. Every breath you take is evidence of my sustaining grace. Every new morning is another expression of my mercy. Every step forward is another opportunity to witness my goodness. Walk with thankful eyes and a peaceful heart, knowing that the same God who has filled your yesterday with countless hidden blessings is already preparing even greater expressions of His love for every tomorrow that lies ahead. My beloved child, as gratitude begins to fill your heart, I want to reveal one more truth that will help you walk with lasting confidence. You have spent many seasons asking me to change your circumstances, but now I want you to see how deeply I have been transforming you. The greatest miracle is not always the one that changes the world around you. Sometimes the greatest miracle is the one that changes the heart within you. When your heart is transformed by my love, even familiar places begin to look different because you are seeing them through my eyes instead of through fear. There was a time when loneliness convinced you that you had nothing to offer. You questioned your purpose because you measured your value by who was beside you instead of by who created you. You believed that your life would truly begin only after everything you desired finally arrived. But my beloved child, your life has never been waiting to begin. It has been unfolding every single day as I have shaped you into the person I created you to become. Do you remember how often you asked me to remove every difficult feeling? Yet instead of simply taking away your pain, I began teaching you how to find peace in the middle of it. You asked me to immediately end every lonely season, but I used those quiet moments to draw you closer to my heart. You asked for quick answers, and I gave you something even more precious, a relationship with me that could sustain you through every unanswered question. Looking back now, can you see that my gifts have often been deeper than the requests you first placed before me? Think about a sculptor standing before a large block of marble. To someone passing by, it may appear as though nothing beautiful exists within the stone. But the sculptor already sees what others cannot. With patience, every careful strike removes only what does not belong. Little by little, the hidden masterpiece begins to appear. The sculptor is not creating beauty from nothing. The beauty was always there, waiting to be revealed. My beloved child, this is how I have been working in your life. I have not been trying to make you into someone completely different. I have been revealing the person I lovingly designed you to be from the very beginning. Every lesson has removed a little more fear. Every trial has chipped away at old lies. Every moment of surrender has uncovered more of the strength, kindness, wisdom, and compassion I placed within you long ago. There are still days when you focus more on what you believe is missing than on what I have already accomplished. Be patient with yourself. Transformation is not right. A tree does not become tall in a single season, yet every day its roots quietly grow deeper. In the same way, your spiritual growth is happening even when it feels slow. Every prayer you whisper, every act of forgiveness, every decision to trust me instead of fear is becoming another root that anchors your soul. Do not compare your journey to anyone else's. Comparison has stolen enough of your joy. When you compare yourself with others, you begin measuring your life against a story I never asked you to live. I have written a unique path for you because I have given you a unique purpose. Another person's blessings do not diminish what I have prepared for you. My love is not divided among my children. I know exactly what each heart needs, and I give with perfect wisdom. You may not fully recognize the person you are becoming because transformation often happens gradually. Those who see you every day may not notice it immediately either. But I see every change. I see how quickly you now return to me when anxiety tries to rise. I see how your heart has become softer instead of harder. I see how you are learning to forgive more freely, to hope more boldly, and to love more deeply. These quiet victories matter to me. They are signs that my spirit is faithfully at work within you. Soon, there will be opportunities that would have overwhelmed the person you used to be, but they will not overwhelm the person you are becoming now. There will be relationships you can nurture with wisdom instead of insecurity. There will be responsibilities you can carry with humility instead of fear. There will be moments when you naturally respond with peace where you once would have reacted with panic. You may think these changes are small, but they are preparing you for the future I have been lovingly arranging. Never believe that your growth has gone unnoticed. Heaven celebrates every step you take toward me. Every time you choose faith over doubt, love over resentment, truth over fear, and hope over despair, you are becoming more like the person I created you to be. This transformation is one of my greatest gifts to you because it cannot be taken away by changing circumstances. So, my beloved child, stop looking at yourself through the eyes of your old fears. See yourself through my love. You are no longer defined by loneliness, rejection, regret, or uncertainty. You are being renewed day by day through my presence. Walk forward with quiet confidence, knowing that I am still shaping your heart with gentle hands. The work I began in you has not stopped, and it will not stop until every part of your life reflects the beauty of my redeeming love. Trust the process. Trust my timing, and above all, trust the Father who has never ceased working for your good, because the person you are becoming is one of the most beautiful answers to the prayers you have prayed. My beloved child, as you continue becoming the person I have lovingly called you to be, I want you to understand one final truth before this journey draws near its close. You were never created merely to survive life. You were created to reflect my love wherever you go. The healing I have poured into your heart is not only for your comfort. It is meant to overflow into the lives of others, just as a river does not keep its water for itself, but continually refreshes everything along its path. For so long, you believed your greatest need was to find someone who would never leave you. That desire came from a sincere place within your heart, and I understood it completely. But as we have walked together, I have been teaching you something even deeper. Before you could fully receive lasting relationships, lasting peace, or lasting joy, you needed to discover the one whose love never changes. Now that my love has begun to anchor your heart, you are no longer searching for people to complete you. Instead, you are learning to love others from a place of wholeness rather than emptiness. This changes everything. When your heart is full of my love, you no longer enter relationships asking, "What can this person give me?" Instead, you begin asking, "How can I reflect my Father's kindness today?" You stop measuring every conversation by whether you feel accepted, and you begin noticing who else might be silently longing for encouragement. You become less concerned with protecting yourself from every possible disappointment, and more willing to extend grace because you have experienced my grace so deeply. Think about the moon shining on a quiet night. The moon has no light of its own. It simply reflects the light of the sun. Because of that reflection, travelers find their way through darkness, and the night becomes less frightening. My beloved child, this is how I have designed your life. You are not expected to create perfect love through your own strength. You simply reflect the love you continually receive from me. As you remain close to me, my compassion, patience, gentleness, and peace naturally begin shining through your life. There will be people who enter your path, carrying burdens they never speak aloud. Some will smile while hiding deep loneliness. Others will appear successful while quietly feeling empty inside. Some will have experienced rejection so many times that they no longer believe anyone truly sees them. You may never know the full story of every person you meet, but I do. That is why I ask you to treat every soul with kindness. A gentle word, a patient response, a listening ear, or a simple act of compassion may become the answer to a prayer someone whispered long before your paths crossed. Do not underestimate these small acts of love. The world often celebrates extraordinary achievements while overlooking ordinary faithfulness. But many of my greatest works begin through simple moments of obedience. A seed planted with care eventually becomes a tree. A single candle lights another without losing its own flame. One encouraging word can echo in someone's heart for years. Never believe that your kindness is too small for me to use. There will also be moments when you are misunderstood again. Not everyone will recognize the work I have done within you. Some may judge you without knowing your story. Others may reject the kindness you offer. Do not let these moments discourage you. Continue reflecting my love anyway. The sun does not stop shining because clouds temporarily hide its light. In the same way, let your compassion remain steady, not because every person appreciates it, but because it flows from my heart within you. Remember where this journey began. You once wondered why you felt so alone. You questioned whether I had forgotten you. You feared your loneliness was evidence that you had somehow been left behind. Yet now you can see that I was quietly walking beside you through every chapter. I was healing wounds no one else could see. I was strengthening your faith, teaching your heart, and preparing you for a life that would carry my peace into places where fear once ruled. Everything I have done has been leading to this understanding. You are deeply loved, completely known, and eternally secure in me. No changing circumstance can take that away. No rejection can erase it. No disappointment can weaken it. My love remains your unshakable foundation. So walk into each new day with open hands and an open heart. Receive my love each morning, then freely give it away throughout the day. Let forgiveness become your habit. Let compassion become your language. Let humility become your strength. Let hope become the atmosphere you carry wherever you go. In doing so, you will become a quiet reflection of my presence in a world desperately searching for lasting peace. My beloved child, never forget that you do not walk alone anymore, not because life will always surround you with people, but because my presence has become the constant companion of your soul. I will guide your steps, steady your heart, and fill your life with purpose until the very end of your earthly journey. As you continue walking with me, others will begin to see my light reflected in your life. And many who once felt as lonely as you did will discover, through your love and your faithfulness, that they too have a heavenly Father who has been calling them beloved all along. My beloved child, we have walked together through many quiet valleys and many hidden places of your heart. We have spoken about your loneliness, your fears, your waiting, your healing, your purpose, and the love that has never left you. As this journey nears its conclusion, I want you to pause and look back with new eyes. I do not want you to remember only the pain you experienced. I want you to recognize the countless ways my faithfulness has carried you from one season to the next. Every step you have taken has been held securely within my hands. When this journey began, you believed your loneliness was a sign that something was missing. You searched for answers in places that could never fully satisfy your soul. You wondered if you had been forgotten. You questioned whether your life had somehow fallen behind everyone else's. Yet through every conversation we have shared, I have gently shown you another truth. You were never abandoned. You were never overlooked. Even in the moments when you could not sense my presence, I was working with perfect love and perfect wisdom. There were doors I quietly closed because they would have led you away from my best. There were relationships I allowed to end because they could not sustain the future I was preparing for you. There were seasons of silence because your heart needed to learn to hear my whisper instead of depending upon the loud voices around you. Looking back now, can you see that my love was protecting you even when you misunderstood my actions? Think about a tapestry being woven by skilled hands. If you only examine the back of the tapestry, you see tangled threads crossing in every direction. They appear confusing and without purpose. But when the tapestry is turned over, every thread has its place within a beautiful design. My beloved child, much of your life had been viewed from the underside. You have seen loose threads, unexpected turns, and confusing patterns. I have always seen the finished masterpiece. Every joy, every sorrow, every delay, every answered prayer, and every unanswered prayer had been woven together with loving intention. This is why I ask you to trust me even beyond what you currently understand. There will still be chapters ahead that raise new questions. There will be moments when the path seems uncertain again. But now you know something you did not know before. You know my character. You know that I am faithful when circumstances are difficult. You know that I remain close when the night feels long. You know that I never waste your tears and never forget your prayers. Do not return to the old belief that being alone means being unloved. That lie no longer belongs in your heart. Whether you stand in a crowded room or spend a quiet evening by yourself, my presence remains the same. I am not a visitor who comes only during moments of comfort. I am the faithful Father who remains through every season. My companionship does not depend upon changing circumstances. It is an everlasting promise. I also want you to release every timeline you have been holding so tightly. You have spent enough energy worrying about when everything will happen. Leave those concerns with me. I have never been late. I have never hurried carelessly. I have always moved according to perfect wisdom. The blessings I have prepared for you will arrive at the moment they can accomplish the greatest good in your life. Until then, continue walking faithfully. Continue loving deeply. Continue trusting wholeheartedly. There is still so much ahead of you. There are people whose lives will be changed because you chose not to give up. There are conversations already waiting in your future that will remind you why this entire journey was necessary. There are moments of laughter that will replace tears you once thought would never end. There are quiet mornings filled with peace that will surprise you because you will remember how restless your heart once felt. I have already seen those days, and they are held safely within my care. Do not become afraid if new challenges appear. They are not evidence that I have left you. They are simply opportunities for you to remember everything I have already taught you. When fear whispers, remember my faithfulness. When loneliness tries to return, remember my presence. When disappointment knocks at your door, remember my promises. Let the truths you have learned become the foundation upon which you continue building your life. My beloved child, your identity is no longer found in what you have lost. It is not found in who stayed or who walked away. It is not determined by success, failure, approval, or rejection. Your identity is found in the unchanging love of your Heavenly Father. You are my beloved. You are chosen. You are seen. You are known completely, and you are loved without condition. Carry this truth with you wherever you go. Let it shape your thoughts when doubt tries to speak. Let it strengthen your heart when life becomes uncertain. Let it guide your relationships, your decisions, and your dreams. And no matter where the road leads from here, never forget that you are walking it with me. So lift your head, my beloved child, and continue forward with quiet confidence. The reason you once felt alone was never because I had abandoned you. It was because I was inviting you into a deeper relationship that nothing in this world could ever replace. Now that you know my heart more clearly, walk boldly into every new day. Trust my timing, rest in my promises, and rejoice in my unfailing love, for I will remain with you through every tomorrow until the day you see me face to face. My beloved child, we have come to the end of this journey, but not to the end of my presence. These words may come to their final chapter, yet my voice will continue walking beside you every day of your life. Long after this moment has passed, I want you to remember that you are never walking through this world alone. Before you take another step, before another question enters your mind, before another challenge appears on your path, I am already there, waiting with open arms and a heart that has never stopped loving you. When you first began listening, your heart may have been carrying heavy questions. You wondered why loneliness had become such a familiar companion. You questioned whether you had been forgotten. You searched for reasons behind broken relationships, unanswered prayers, and silent seasons. But now, my beloved child, I pray you see your story through different eyes. What once looked like abandonment was often my protection. What once felt like delay was my preparation. What once seemed like emptiness became the sacred place where I drew you closer to my heart. You have discovered that your worth has never depended upon how many people stood beside you. It has never been measured by human approval, earthly success, or changing circumstances. Your value has always rested in one unchanging truth. You are my beloved child. Before anyone welcomed you or rejected you, I chose you. Before anyone understood you or misunderstood you, I knew you completely. Before you spoke your first prayer, I had already surrounded your life with my everlasting love. Carry this truth wherever you go. Let it become stronger than every fearful thought that tries to return. When loneliness whispers, answer it with my promise that I will never leave you. When regret tries to pull you backward, remember that my mercy has already set you free. When fear attempts to cloud your future, remind your heart that I have gone before you. When uncertainty appears, rest in the confidence that the one who holds tomorrow is lovingly holding you today. There will still be moments when life feels difficult. There will still be days when tears return without warning. But do not mistake those moments for defeat. Even in those seasons, I will remain your refuge, your strength, your comfort, and your peace. You no longer need to fear walking through valleys because you now know the shepherd who faithfully walks beside you. No shadow can separate you from my light. No storm can overcome my presence. No distance can diminish my love. Remember the seed we spoke about that grew in hidden places, the tree whose roots reach deep beneath the surface, the river that never stopped flowing, the sculpture revealing beauty from stone, the tapestry woven with perfect care, and the candle shining quietly in the darkness. Every one of those pictures has been pointing toward the same truth. I have been working in your life all along. Even when you could not see me, I was never absent. Even when you did not understand me, I never stopped understanding you. So now, my beloved child, step into the days ahead with a peaceful heart. Love freely because you are loved completely. Forgive generously because you have received abundant mercy. Hope boldly because my promises never fail. Walk humbly because my grace will always be enough. And whenever you begin to feel alone again, close your eyes for a moment and remember my voice saying, "You have never been abandoned. You have always been mine." Before we close this time together, I want to speak to every heart that has been touched by these words. If this message has helped you feel my love more deeply, if it has reminded you that you are never alone, then let that same love continue reaching others who are still sitting in darkness. Every act of generosity becomes another seed planted into hearts that are longing for hope. As I declare in my living word, give, and it will be given to you. Let those words become alive in your own life as you respond with faith. I am inviting you to become part of this harvest of healing. Support this mission through YouTube Super Thanks. Become a channel member or use the PayPal donation link waiting for you in the video description, also available through the QR code shown in this video. Do not delay when I place compassion in your heart, because every gift becomes another light guiding a weary soul toward my love. I see every cheerful giver, and I bless every hand that sows into my work with peace, provision, and overflowing grace. Your generosity is not merely a donation. It is an act of faith that helps my word travel farther than you can imagine. Rise in obedience, sow with joy, and become a living part of the harvest I am preparing across the world. My beloved child, I bless your mind with peace that surpasses understanding. I bless your heart with courage that overcomes fear. I bless your home with my presence, your future with my purpose, and your soul with the unshakable assurance that you are eternally loved. Walk each day knowing that my hand is upon you, my spirit is within you, and my promises are surrounding you. Until the day you stand before me and see my face, continue trusting, continue loving, continue hoping, and continue remembering that the real reason you were never truly alone is because your Heavenly Father has been with you every moment of your life. Amen.